Hello, 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 welcome. It is Warhammer Sunday, it is Sunday, it is time for Warhammer, therefore it is Warhammer Sunday. Now, it is 12 trillion degrees in this room today, so I shall last as long as I can. It might be alright for the full show, should be fine, but we'll wait and see. I'm getting a bit moist in various places. Yeah, so we'll see how long we can go. It is a beautiful, beautiful day outside today, so I've been opening and closing windows and curtains and managing the airflow around that. Nothing makes any difference in this country. We're so not used to good weather that we just fall apart. So welcome. It is Sunday. It is Warhammer Sunday. If you've never seen one of these before, and you have, because you're all regulars, but if you've never seen one before, at the weekend I dump everything I'm doing and I work usually on my Warhammer army. What's they called? The Unending Forces of the Holy Contrivance. Forgot what they were called then. The Unending Forces of the Holy Contrivance. Hope you can see me and hear me okay, by the way. But over the last couple of months, I've not been doing that. I have been working on my backlog of Warhammer Conquest, not to get them painted and filmed, because I was doing a filming the painting series, but just to get them built, because I'm trying to save space rather than having lots and lots of packages lying around in the spare room. I've decided it's better just to get the damn things built, and they can go into cupboards and into transport cases and things and out of the way, and then I can get around to painting them later in the year. But now that's on the sideline, because this week we're carrying on with the Angry Marine. Always angry all the time. Yes, it's the Angry Marine. I got this ages ago, and I've been painting him up to get him nice and painted. I was going to paint him on the my local Warhammer store birthday party last Saturday, but because I had so much fun playing Daka Rally and the character smash challenge thing, I got like 5 minutes of painting him. So we got the base coat done last week. Now we'll carry on with that in a minute. Now, if you've not seen one of these before, I'm already moist. Oh, if you've not seen one of these before, this is me talking for 3 hours and maybe doing very little tiny bit of work, but it's mostly you guys are hanging out in the chat, having a jolly good time. That's all this is really about. You guys just crack on with your own thing and have a chat in the chat, or have me in the background talking away. I always read out the chat anyway. Now, if you want to join in, I will be doing sticker giveaways and stuff later on. Just double checking, just making sure the picture looks okay. Let me know if I'm in focus and you can hear me and sound me and stuff. Yes, if you want to join in, please do join in the live chat. You can see the chat here, obviously, but that's not the live chat. That's just the chat so people watching it later can see what you're talking about. If you want to join in the live typey chat, you need to make sure you're watching this on the YouTube. So if you're watching this embedded in Patreon or on Facebook or on Ello, I'm on Ello, believe it or not. There are 3 of us on Ello somewhere. There's me and a whole bunch of sort of farty-arty artists in California. I'll tell you what, some of the stuff on Ello, if you've never heard of Ello, it was a Facebook replacement that came out years ago that was supposed to compete with Facebook but have no advertising. It totally didn't. It now became a hub for arty types. Basically, that's what it is. And I tell you, there's some shockingly terrible stuff on there. Oh dear God. Oh, they're all Californians. They're all like kind of like LA type, California type, freely sleeve nonsense artists. Like, they'll draw a scribble and say, look, it's an awesome millennial. No, it's rubbish. It's terrible. But anyway, I'm on there. So yes, if you're watching it on there, you need to hit the little YouTube icon, which is down here in the bottom right hand corner somewhere. The little YouTube symbol in the video player tools, and that will take you instamagically to the YouTube page where you can actually join in the live chat and have fun and do the typing. My computer's making a lot of noise. I think the fan's working overtime. It's that warm. Yeah, so do join in the live chat. It's good fun. If you want to ask me a question, of course, if you want to make sure I see it, I've got my iPad here, you can see with the chat in it. But if you want to make sure that I don't miss your comments, because I will be busy painting, you can, of course, put your question in big fat capital letters. Make sure it stands out. Put the whole thing in capitals like you're shouting. It's rude normally, but I'll let you do it this time because you need to get my attention. You can, if you want, hit the little dollar symbol at the bottom of the chat window. It's down at the bottom of the chat window somewhere there. You can do the little dollar symbol. That'll do a super chat, which will put the comment in a coloured box and put a little animation up here in the corner of the screen somewhere so I can't miss you. Or you can, if you want, what's the other option? I've forgotten now. I've already forgotten. Yes, you can if you want to. If you've got no access to chat at all, but you want to ask me a question or get my attention, you can send me an email. My email address is always at the bottom here, fox@modelmakingguru.com. As we go along, we'll just try and get some work done. Now, we also have, as always, if you've never seen one of these before, we have the stream boss battle, which is still ongoing. You can see the little coloured bar up here. I don't really know where to point to. I've not got my left and right sorted out. There we go. We've got a little colour bar here. Simon Reynolds, or Kev, as we know him. Kevin is our current stream boss. His health is down to 78,000. You guys need to get his health down to 0 by doing super chats, tips, and if you're not already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You need to get his health down to 0, and whoever gets him down to 0 will become the new stream boss. Now, what's in it for you? Well, here's how it works. His health starts at 100,000. Every time you subscribe to this channel, if you're not already a subscriber, it takes a tiny bit of Kevin's health off. I know it says Model Making Guru, by the way, up there. That's just because I screwed it up. It should say Kevin or Simon Reynolds. Every time you subscribe, if you're not already subscribed, if you are subscribed and then you unsubscribe and resubscribe, that doesn't work. You have to just be a brand new subscriber. If you want to, you can do, like I said before, do a super chat, the little dollar symbol in the bottom of the chat window. Or if you want, you can put a tip through the tip jar, which is streamlabs.com/model making guru. All of those will take health off Kevin. And the more you put through as a super chat or the more you put through as a tip, that will take more health off. And if you get him to 0, then you will become the new stream boss and you will inherit all the money raised through the tips and the super chats. Now, when Simon became the new stream boss, he won a balance of 499 quid. So you will then win your choice of Games Workshop or Forge World models that I will then buy for you using the money that you've won in the pot from tips and super chats. So like when Kevin won, it was 499 quid. It can vary. When Aviad was the first stream boss, it was about 300 quid. So it does vary. It goes up and down. So if you want to get your hands on all that, you can do. If you're in the UK or the EU, in some countries in the EU, you also have the option of requesting your stuff to come through Goblin Gaming, which you'll save 20% off that, and you'll get even more Games Workshop stuff for your money. So get your tips and super chats coming through. And very quickly before we get going, of course, I do need to point out that this channel is supported and this show by Goblin Gaming. If you're in the EU or the UK and you want to buy some Games Workshop, some Malifaux, some Conflict 47, you can save up to 20% off RRP if you're using the link below this video in the description. That's my affiliate link. Not only will you save massively on those 3 products and save quite a lot on others, on everything else as well, but for those 3 brands, Games Workshop, Conflict 47 and Malifaux, you'll get 20% off RRP. You'll also help this channel massively because if you use the link below in the description, you will actually allow me to make a little tiny bit of income off that purchase, off that order, if you use that link. So make sure you replace your link in your favourites with that one below, and that always helps this channel out. Anyway, I've also got my big cup of coffee. Now, I actually had to take some drastic action today because it is so warm. To make this an hour before, I made this at 2 o'clock and it's been in the fridge, for half an hour because it's that warm. But I couldn't just be drinking water. I need my big coffee, so yes, warm. Right, let's have a quick look at the chat and see who is in. I'm just blowing my nose. Oh, excuse me. Let's have a quick look at chat and see who is in. Now, I've refreshed the chat a few times, so I'm probably missing a lot of chat. Also, my screen, because it's so warm, my finger's a little bit, not sticking to the screen, but it's weird. Now, I know that Pascal was the first in way back earlier on today when I set up the stream, but it's been long since then. So the first one I see is Dad, and Chris at Gross Models. Dad from Scaling Models and Chris at Gross Models. 2 of your mods are in today. All my mods are lovely, lovely, lovely people. They don't really have to do much because you guys are all really well behaved, but they're all lovely, wonderful people. But if you cross them, they will break your spine with a single finger. They will really break you in half like that. So don't cross them. Do keep in mind, of course, this show is nothing to do with my channel sponsors eModels. It's nothing to do with anybody else. This is just my show on my channel. If you want to use swears and rude words in the chat, you are more than welcome to. I'm not going to read them out because this is monetized, obviously, but you can use rude words and grown-up stuff in chat. Just don't be a complete tool. Obviously, I don't want my mods kicking people out of chat. You can use big rude words, but no politics and no religion. Don't be a complete spoon, but you can be all grown up in chat if you want. So Chris and Dad are in. Pascal is also in. He was in right at the start, but he says hello. Mordraka09 is in. We have Dad says Fox is going to melt in his room today, methinks. Yes, it's not too bad. Mordraka says, as Fox said earlier, because I did in the chat before the show went live, I said, might be a short show today. There are many warms. There are. Thy Creator is in. Hello, Thy Creator. Let's have a look. We have Just Django. Hi, it's been a while since I was in this early. Welcome, Just Django. George, of course, is another one of my channel mods. He is in, George Gabriel. For whom I am building the Big Fat Sazabi. Just keep an eye on that. Welcome, George. Interzone 88, g'day. G'day, Interzone. Quano Man is in. Welcome, Quano Man, a local lad from just down the road. Who else do we have? Nim is in. Morning again, y'all, says Nim. Nim's probably just woken up and hadn't had breakfast yet, so get your breakfast down your nim. Skullfish is in. Welcome, Skullfish. Skullfish. Who else do we have? Let's have a quick look through. Spid is in. Spiddy Q8. Good morning, good afternoon, or evening, wherever you may be. And may your God go with you. Hello, welcome, yes. Welcome, Spid. Chris asks if I am warm yet. Yes, I am moist in a few places. Spiddy Q8 asks if it's mankini weather. It is never mankini weather. It will never be mankini weather. Skullfish tells us that his nads are a sweaty mess. We didn't need to know that, but I thought if you're going to tell the people in chat, I might as well tell everybody watching this. There you go. So now the entire internet knows. Yes. Chris at Gross Model says, oh God, he's naked. Watch out for reflective surfaces. I assume he's talking about Skullfish. You know when I'm naked, because I just put a whole load of kettles for sale. Shiny metal kettles on eBay. We had this conversation a while ago about this trend in the early 2000s. Quantum Man says it's 69 trillion degrees here. I shall be nakedness for the entire street. I didn't need to know that. I really didn't need to know that. Ew. Speard says his internet is buffering like a buffery thing today. This cow must be slacking on the treadmill. Yeah. I am showing how many... No drop frame, says no problems at my end. And in other news, Streamlabs have updated their software, and now I have to click a thing to see what my stream's doing, how it's behaving if I'm dropping frames. It's really annoying because now I have to move my mouse. I can't just look over and see. It's like, oh, I hate when people redesign things and they change something that was working perfectly. Oh. Chris at Gross Model says he joined LO to follow me. Well, hello. Yeah, it's weird because it's kind of got its users. It's more arty-farty. It's like Facebook without the adverts and personal data, and it's also kind of for arty-farty people. And there are ways to make money on there, but I don't think I'm that millennial, to be honest. There really is some absolute dross on there. Oh. Chris says he joined LO to follow me. The other option is to drive around and knock on your door. Come and knock on my door. EC Idaho is in. Dang, says EC Idaho. Welcome, EC Idaho. Tyrone Key is in. Hello, everyone. Wayne Haywood. Hi, all. Sorry I'm late. The dog ate my homework. That's fine, as long as it... Never mind, moving on. Raging Bassist. I'm back, motherfrackers. I've got Sundays off again. Woohoo. Welcome back, Bassist. Not seen you for a while. Everybody turns up now. Candy Ground from Mongo. Welcome. I think it will take me about a day to drive to the nearest other boom hutter's house. Yes. Ilta Yandavov is in. Welcome, Ilta. We have Tyrone Key says, Widge. Osric says, boob. I can read them out because they're not particularly swear words. And that's, I think we're up to date with who is in chat. So welcome to all of you. Ooh, it is warm. It's getting warm now. Oh, moist. It's that kind of warm where you take your watch off and you get that weird kind of I've been wearing a watch all day smell, so I won't take my watch off. So yes, the plan is today to crack on a bit more with the Angry Marine. Now if you remember last week, he'd already been primed, and last week I covered him and slathered him in a nice coat of Avalanche Sunset, and then gave him a big bath of the Agrax Earthshade, which is somewhere there. And then I gave him a dry brush over with the Avalanche Sunset again. I finished that off camera. I went over the rest of him and did a dry brush of the Avalanche. And all that gives us now is it cleans up all the rough and ready bits of the shade and gets the Avalanche kind of back to normal. There are still some patchy bits like the pauldrons here, but that's because they're going to be red, so I don't need to worry about those. Little bits I don't care about, I've left those. And it's just to build up. It's my way of doing pre-shading, but as post-shading, where you do the base colour and then a shade to darken it all down, and then the base colour again, but do it as a dry brush. You could just brush it on and do it as a layer, but I want to do it as a dry brush so that I get some patches and some variation here and there. I don't want it to be solid yellow with brown in the recesses, otherwise I would have just done a recess shade. I want some variation. So the next step today is to do more dry brushing. Yeah, more dry brushing. So we've done Avalanche Sunset, and as you can see up here, I don't know if you can see up there because the camera's not there, but I always put my colours in order. So we did the Avalanche Sunset. Next to that is Agrax Earthshade. So the next colour is going to be, if I can get it out, Phalanx Yellow. Now is it the next colour? No, I've got that wrong. Waha. No, it is actually my least favourite colour, Uriel Yellow, because I can't pronounce it and it sucks. Uriel Yellow. Yes, I don't like that colour. I'll put Avalanche Sunset over there. So yes, we've got Uriel. I can't say it. Uriel. Oh, stupid paint name. Oh, Uriel Yellow. Next, and then will be Phalanx Yellow, and then will be Dawn Yellow. But it depends. How much I actually do depends on the texture of the model. When I was doing the head and I was putting the Avalanche Sunset on, it was apparent that I was already getting some grainy texture. Because whenever you do a dry brush, of course, you build up a very slight grainy texture. And the trick is knowing when to pull back and stop. If you're careful, and like I was doing remember I was doing circular motions, you can keep that to a minimum. But it depends on, if it, like particularly now when it's particularly warm, if it's really warm and your paint's drying out fast, you're going to build up a texture. And the more layers you add, of course, each layer picks up the texture underneath from the previous layer, and it's a dry brush, so it makes a little textury pattern. It picks up the edges. So the more dry brush layers you do, the more texture you introduce. So you have to there's a certain point where you have to stop, and that's as far as you go. But today, God help me, I'm going to do Uriel Yellow, and I actually hate Uriel Yellow. It's a horrible colour. It's a layer colour, but it's just like really weak, and it's horrible, 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 horrible. Now, some very important things. First of all, Dad asks the most important question, which I haven't done yet, which is, what is on your bench and what's in your belly? If you're used to watching streams with me, and you know, one of the questions we always ask is, what's in your bench and what's on your belly? So what are you working on at the minute, if anything, and what are you having for your dinner later on? What have you had for your dinner? What's your plan for dinner? And I'll add one to that. Where are you? Where are you? Because that's always a good one to get the lurkers who don't like joining in the chat out. Where are you based? Where are you watching today? Let's have a look. Fox tells me you make the glue pot holders I saw him use last week. Says Stuart Rose. Oh, hi, Stuart. Stuart Rose is in. Yes, Dad made me this thing, which is my universal glue and decal fluid holder. And also he made my favourite device, which is the little hangman's thing for the shades and the paint pots to keep them open. You put the lid and the lid holds it up there. These are awesome. I love these things. Dad made me this, and it's just the best thing ever, because you get your paint or your shade, and if you use paints or shades, like if you watch Chris paint and he paints without using one of these, he gets his shade open and he goes, and he's like brush, 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 and everybody's watching it is cringing. They just cringe because they know he hasn't spilt one yet. I mean, to be fair, he's not spilt one yet, but he will. But if you want to do it the safe way, you get this, plonk that in there, there you go, perfect. That ain't gonna fall over. My favourite thing in the whole world. I love that. I love that. There we go. Put that back in there. And put it over there because I don't need it just at the moment. Right, so we're going to do some Uriel. I hate trying to say that. Uriel Yellow. Can't say it. Uriel. Oh, God, don't even bother. Right, I'm going to paint some of this bright yellow colour. So, we're going to do dry brushing. Now, you all know how dry brushing works. I have a selection of brushes for the dry brushing. I have a base brush, which sounds really weird, but it's not a bad little dry brush. I have, that's not the right brush. I have a dry brush from Games Workshop, as well as Citadel dry brush. It's a Citadel base brush. And I also have one of the small rounded base brushes. I actually find these don't last very long when you use them for painting base colours. They don't last long at all. They go a bit after a while, just because that's the nature of them. But once they go like that, they're actually brilliant as dry brushes for doing small areas, and especially like, for example, around the body here. I might want to just build up the centre of a panel. These little round dry brushes are fantastic. This is a medium base brush. So these little base brushes, they're brilliant. So don't throw them away when they go all flaily and spready outy and they haven't got the nice little point on them anymore. Keep them because they're brilliant. So what we're going to do is we are going to start off with the Tebons. And this is going to be the bright colour. Now, if you remember, just to remind you what we're painting, this is going to be an Angry Marine. Now, if you don't know what Angry Marines are not actually a canon official Games Workshop faction. You'll see why, because I need to go to here. Angry Marines, here is the livery for an Angry Marine. Now, as you can see, not quite family friendly. It's kind of a legendary fan-created faction of Space Marines. And they're just always angry all the time. That's the catchphrase. Everything's swearing. Everything's violence. They're never happy. They're angry. They're furious about everything. They hate everybody. They hate everything. They're hilarious. They are hilarious. So that's what we're going to be painting. We're going to be doing Angry Marine. You can see there it's quite a bright yellow. And it's basically just some yellows and some reds and a bit of writing. And yes, I will be doing the bit of writing. So this is quite a dark yellow. Now this isn't the right colour at all. But if you're wondering why I started with Avalanche Sunset, it's because this colour is ass. This is pure ass. If you were to like use a light coloured primer like this was Grey Seer, But any light colour primer, and then try and brush paint this on, it would take you a billion coats, and you'd hate everything, and then you would be an angry Marine by the end of it. So I like to paint the Avalanche Sunset first because it's a brilliant, brilliant base colour for these kind of yellows. It's also a good base colour for golds and other kind of browns and things if you're using a particularly transparent layer colour. The real pain makes me really sad. Games Workshop have withdrawn the rattle cans. They had rattle cans of Avalanche Sunset, which would make this kind of priming brilliant, but no, they've withdrawn those now. I don't know why. It's really annoying. Anyway, let's get some painting done. So I'm going to put this puppy in here. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put him in there, but I'm not going to mess about with the little thing for the lid because I'm doing dry brushing, so I'm going to be dipping in and out. So what I need is some tissue. Tissue. I shall have a look at the chat in a moment. So I'm going to get some of this vile nonsense on my brush. I'm using a big brush here because this is a big brush. This is a Daler Rowney Graduate. These are really nice chisel brushes. And they're really, really expensive. They're not cheap at all. You can see what a beautiful bright colour that is. Now in reality, of course, on telly where you're watching this, it's a bit overexposed. It's a bit pallid, but in real life, it's a really bright, vivacious yellow. Unfortunately, it's also really transparent. So the trick is get most of the paint off on the brush. And we're going to very slowly start doing our little circles. Now I have to be careful here because I don't want to build up a texture. And a good way to avoid building up too much texture is to actually have more on the brush than I would normally have for a dry brush and overdo it a little bit. But the other thing, of course, that gives me a little bit of wiggle room is that I am going to be doing some weathering on this. He's going to have a battered and beat. They're angry Marines. They're angry about everything. They hate everything. They're not going to sit there making their armour look fantastic and beautiful. They're just going to be like, rah! So I can afford to go a little bit careless with this. So we're just going to slowly dry brush. And this is really boring for you to watch. But I've got to think about things to talk about now while I'm doing this. I do recommend these Daler Rowney Graduate brushes. They're not the cheapest. They're proper artist brushes. They're not designed for model making. But they are wonderful, soft, flumpy, not fibres, what's the word? Bristles. They're designed for oil paints and things, but they work really well for dry brushing and things like this. So I do recommend them. Add them to your collection eventually for some things like this. If you're making regular size minis and little things, you probably won't ever use one of these. I really hardly ever get to use this because I don't work on anything big enough. But this is going to be kind of tedious for you guys to watch. Now I'm not going to make it beautifully smooth yellow. Like I say, if I wanted to do that, I would have just painted a layer and left shade in the recesses. That's not what I'm about. I want it to be patchy. Now I can see a grain coming in here, so I've got to be careful. Now it may well be, a lot of times you do this, you get a really obvious visible grain. It's unavoidable sometimes. Sometimes when you dry brush, you'll get a beautiful smooth coat. Sometimes you'll get grain. There's not a lot you can do. Although what will happen is once we've done the weathering on the top and we've put a matte varnish on, it will become a little less apparent. And once you see this from a bit of a distance, you won't really notice it anyway. It won't be that bad. But if you look up close, then yes, you're going to see an obvious grain on it. So there we go. It's a little bit patchy here, but again, that's fine. That's not a problem. I don't want it to look nice and neat. And when you see it on telly here, it's probably looking it looks a lot smoother and neater on your telly screen than it does to my eye. Everyone's equal in my eye. Candy Grab for Mongo says, the Marine is extra angry because he's almost certainly banging his giant head into everything. When I went to my local Warhammer store birthday last Saturday. Hi, Chris. Chris is what might be watching. Chris is the manager. He had a little game, a couple of little games. One was Dakar Dakar Rally, where you take a vehicle and you have this like shooting, driving around game. But one of them was like a character smash. And what it was basically is you take a model. There was any figure, single figure, up to a 60mm base. And basically, before the game starts, you roll to get some randomly generated stats. You have a list of stats and you have to roll, like, damage, armor save, thing like that. It doesn't matter what the character you've got is. You ignore everything about the character. You don't use anything that actually is for that character. It doesn't matter who he is. And you roll the stats. Everybody rolls stats at the start. And then you're all on the table at the same time, and it's basically a free-for-all, what do you call it, battle royale. You all start at a different part of the map, and the idea is to be the last man standing. which it was great fun. I mean, this was the first time I'd ever played Warhammer. I'd never played before. I didn't even know how to roll for the stat. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I got a lot of help from everybody around the table. It was great fun. But there was an immediate problem because at first I was like, well, I brought some figures. I took my Adeptus Mechanicus Tech Priest, and I took a Space Marine, just because there were a couple of figures that I had painted. So I took them. But then Chris says, I had this guy to paint. My intention was to go along and just paint this guy at the painting table and hang out. But I ended up playing these games. And Chris says, well, you can play this guy because he was on this. And he said, well, it's not quite 60mm, but it'll do. Go on, you can play him. Why not? Just get him on the table. So I'm like, okay. So I got him on the table, rolled the worst stats in the world. He had a heavy weapon and a low movement stat, which means he could either fire or move, but not both. Brilliant. But we immediately encountered it, or rather, I immediately encountered a problem. Is that this guy's head was bigger than all the scenery was there, and there was like a house. There was a ruined like church type building, and then a house. And his head was bigger than the house. So I said, I don't know how this works. Then how does my cover mechanic work when my figure's head is bigger than the house he's hiding behind? And they're all like, yeah, I don't think he's in cover there, mate. So it was like, oh no. So he didn't last very long, bless him. Cover was kind of moot. He started off on the only bit of cover that was big enough was way off into the middle of the table, and I couldn't move. I could either move or shoot, but not both. So it ended poorly for him. Bless him. It didn't end well. Now I'm getting quite a bit of texture here. I can see it. I can see it building up. But again, it's not the end of the world. We will put chipping and all kinds of things on this, so I don't mind if it's a bit gribbly. It's fine. Fox, back in the 7th edition of 40k, there was a fan-made Angry Marine Codex. There's still a... Oh, I see, a fan-made codex. Oh, right, I've got you. Because there is... The Angry Marines are a thing. They're just not an official thing. They're not actually in the real Space Marines Codex. I mean, I would love it if Games Workshop did, but they couldn't because of the rude words. Because they're kind of family-friendly, aren't they? For a lot of it. I mean, the content's violent and gruesome, but they don't have lots of... I mean, the books probably have swearing in. I've never read them. Yeah, they can't really have Space Marines with rude words painted all over them, I guess, which is a shame because they are hilarious. If you go on 1D4chan and read some of the wiki read the wiki entry for Angry Marines, just some of the little stories at the bottom are hilarious. Some of the fan made up nonsense, just to give you an idea of what the Angry Marines are actually like. Earl D's in. Welcome, Earl D. Spreemonger is in. Hi all. Hope you're well. Thought I'd emerge from hibernation to say g'day, bro. Right, important update. Because I need to tell you, important update. I did, on Friday, I sat down. I had some things to mail out, some things that I picked up for people. That's really textury now, I can see it. Some things that I'd picked up for people from the store birthday. Little figures that I needed to mail out. And I thought, while I'm here, I may as well send out all the stickers, because I'm going to be going to the post office anyway to send all these things out. So on Friday I did send out almost all the stickers and bits and bobs that people have been waiting for since probably March or April. So if you're waiting for a sticker or more than one sticker or multiple stickers, they are now either with you already or they are on the way to you. They've all been posted. There were a few who I shall reveal in a moment. There are a few of you. I've got paint on the back of his helmet there, look. Oh. See, I've got some paint on the back from my thumb. Not a biggie. That'll become a paint chip later on. There's always a way around it. There are a few of you who, as yet, have not mailed me your details when you've won a sticker. So I've got a sticker with a YouTube username on, but I've got no idea who that person is, where they are, or where to send the sticker to. So I'll get those out in a minute, and I'll show you who is left. There's a couple of you that need to mail me with your name and address, and obviously the YouTube handle as well, because I need to know which one you are. If you say, hi, I'm David and here's my address, and I'm like, yeah, but who you're... I don't know what your YouTube name is, so I don't know who you are. You see what I mean? You need to give me all the information. So I'll read those out and I'll show you those in a moment, because you guys need to mail. So they haven't been sent because I've got no idea who they're going to. So this is coming out kind of patchy. It's got real texture to it now, and it is a shame. I think it's purely because of the size of it and using a big brush. It is coming out quite grapefruit skinny. But really, it's anything you're going to see when you're close up. Once you see it from a distance, and it's got weathering and stuff on it, and it looks all beaten and battered, and you see it from a little bit away, you're not going to notice that. I mean, ideally, probably what I would have done with this, more realistically, is actually airbrushed it. Getting paint off the back of the paint pot onto my hand and then onto the model. It's most annoying. For something this size, yeah, you would normally airbrush it. I mean, dry brushing like this is fine for vehicles because they're not that big, but yes, it's not really something I can do while I'm on a live stream, is airbrush, because it's not interesting for you to watch. You won't be able to hear me, and the airbrush is over, the spray booth's over there, which again is not much use for you, so I can't get the camera pointed at that. Doodle 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 doo. So all the stickers, save from those few people who I shall name and shame in a moment, all the stickers are on the way, if not already with you. I say, it does take me a long time to get them sent out, but I do get round to it eventually. It just takes me forever, that's all. I may not be efficient or very good at doing it, but I do it. That's the difference, you see. I do what I say, and I say what I do. Right, so that is probably going to do. I don't really want to do too much more because, like I say, of the... I've got to the faceplate yet. Because of the texture that's coming up. So it is a shame. But like I say, given the choice, I would dry brush this. And I do have another one of these guys to paint anyway. I just wanted to do this one because it was something for me to do on the Saturday while I was in the store. And I thought, I didn't get much done, so I thought, you know what, I'll just do it on the telly. So we'll go over the faceplate. I'm going a bit heavier here, you can see. In fact, I'm having a thought now. I might actually go heavy on the rest of him, just because he's still quite dark, and I don't want him to be quite so dark. I'm doing it thickly. See, on the faceplate, there's no real texture. I don't quite know why. Okay, so what I might do, it's a trade-off now, because I don't want to start doing it too thickly over the... Yeah, Eric Graham thinks Fox needs a secretary. If I could afford to pay a secretary, yeah, I would have a secretary. I always say, if I ever win the lottery, or somehow earn enough money to make this a proper job, I would hire my friends who have jobs that they hate. There we go, that's better. Slap the paint on thick, Fox. I would hire them to do things like man the camera, edit the videos and things. Because I often get asked, you know, why don't I produce more video? Why do I only produce occasional video content? Why am I not the fastest video? Why am I not producing a video every other day? And the problem is that a lot of people look at people, you know, like YouTubers, and their videos are basically sitting in front of the camera talking rubbish about something, nonsense, millennial bullshit type nonsense, and that you can do in one take, and it takes 5 minutes, and there's no talent there. But when you're doing something like a video build, it's not the same. For every, you know, 5 minutes of video build that you watch, that could be a day's work, because it's not as simple as just turn on the camera and pay. I mean, you can just turn on the camera and do what you need to do, and there you go, don't think about it. But that's just not particularly interesting content. I like to work in multiple shots and do many different things and edit fully and plan my shots and all kinds of bits and bobs, so it takes a long time. So consequently, it's not as easy as it looks. It's not, I mean, don't mean easy, I mean, it's not as straightforward as turn on the camera and talk and paint things. It doesn't quite work that way. And that's why it takes a long time. And I don't even know what the point I was talking about now. Why I was talking about that, I've forgotten already. Wow. Got no idea why I was telling you that. I'm so bad. I'm terrible. So yeah, but the problem with that is, of course, yeah, that's what I was talking about. Is that, for example, you know, what might be 5 minutes of painting on camera is 10 minutes of setting up the shot and the camera and everything else. 5 minutes of painting, then 10 or 15 minutes of transferring the film to the computer, editing that footage, and so on and so on. And making sure the lighting's right, doing tests to make sure the white balance and everything else is correct. It's not as simple as just turn on the camera. So if I suddenly won the lottery and I could afford it, I would pay someone to do all that. So all that I needed to do was quite simply sit and paint and talk. Ideally, that's what I would love to do. But as a one-man band, you can't do that. It's not an option. Okay, this isn't quite going according to plan. But we'll work around it. We will work around it. It's gone a bit blotchy on the paint here. But that's cool. We'll get there. We'll figure it out. There'll be weathering to hide all our errors. It will all come good. Yes, if you're doing one of these yourself, dry brushing is perhaps not the best tactic. I recommend the airbrushing instead. And keep in mind, of course, you know, when you hear me say something, when you watch me and I'd say, you know, say something, you know, talk about something for like a minute, that could be the 25th take. Because if there's one thing I don't do, it's unless I'm doing a voiceover to pre-recorded video, in which case I'll write a script because I'm doing a separate voiceover. If I'm just doing a piece to camera, like this now, if this was pre-recorded and not actually a live stream, I have an idea of what I want to say, and then I'll completely fluff it, and I'll fluff it many, many times. So when you see me talk about something for, say, 1 minute, that could be 10 takes. And then by the end of 10 takes, I'm in such a foul mood because I keep messing the damn thing up. Yeah, so it takes a lot of work. It's not quite as straightforward as you think. So yes, I would love to have somebody to do all the camera setting and the white balance and focus. All I need, you know, if I had somebody that could say, I just sit down at the desk, I hold the thing where I'm going to paint it, and somebody just takes care of making sure everything's going to be in focus, or they manually ride the focus so that as I move around, they keep things in shot, you know, and in focus. That'd be brilliant. Little splot of paint there, but I can get that off with my finger now. That would be fantabulous. Probably never happen. Not unless I win the lottery or suddenly get, like, you know, several million subscribers and earn a fortune every month from YouTube. Probably not going to happen. Because sadly, what makes money on YouTube for the most part is mindless drivel. Mindless drivel. And it's a sad fact, but most YouTube content is just mindless drivel. Pointless, vapid celebrities talking about pointless, vapid celebrity nonsense. I hate it. Can't be doing with it. I have nothing but the hatred, deepest of hatred for vapid celebrity nonsense. It's no interest in all this millennial YouTube stuff. And there's people that actually make their living. Get this right. The people that make their living doing YouTube videos about people that do YouTube videos, like Keemstar. It's like their entire content is making videos about people that make like YouTube news. Why do people like such low-brow, pointless content? I don't understand. It's just, I don't know. There's too many dumb people around that like that kind of nonsense. It makes me very, very sad. Okay, so that's a little bit brighter. Still patchy, but that's fine. We can build weathering into that. I shall have a look at the chat in a moment. I'll just do the side parts of the helmet. Then we can crack on with the body times. Body time. So yeah, I was doing dry brushing, but I've decided I'm going now for a more heavily, not quite wet brushing, but it's like semi-dry brushing. Kind of. It's a bit more paint than you would normally put for a dry brush. And it's actually helping to hide away that little granular texture. Because I've never done one of these before, so this is a learning experience for me. I've never done a big figure like this, so I'm learning as I go. So you will forgive me any minor goofs and boobs. Boobs. Okay, so that's going to do for Faye. Now he's going to look grubby and scruffy. That's the idea. I want him to look dirty and weathered anyway. So that's the head done. I shall give this little brush a rinse. Rinsing, 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 rinsing none of the paint away. One handy tip if you're doing dry brushing, make sure your brushes are super, 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 super clean. Especially bright colours like yellows, because trust me, you will spend a lot of time cleaning all these brushes. I cleaned all these. I have to admit, I hate to admit this, but when we finished last week, I forgot to wash all these brushes and I had to do it all this morning. And yeah, it took me ages. Ooh, look at that, it's going straight through. Ooh. Took me ages to get them all clean. So, I mean, this will do for now. I'll have to clean them all properly later. Right, so I'll put that off to one side. Paint all over my hands. I'll get some more tissue, because all the tissue gets used up really, really quick when you're doing dry brushing. And then we shall have a look at the chat, see what you guys are talking about. It's not actually too bad in here now. Now the temperature's kind of stabilised a bit and the sun's moved off around the other side of the house. It's not actually too bad. So we might be alright for the full 3 hours. We shall see. I am moist in all the wrong places for all the wrong reasons, but that's now set in stone, so there's not much can do to change that anyway. So hey, go with it. I'm just going to go and replace my water. I should be 2 moments. 1 second. I have to be honest with you, this is one of the old Citadel paint pots. And when the new ones, the big ones, these things first came out, I was like, oh, I like the old one, I don't like the new one, I don't like new things scare me, I'm going to go outside and shout at clouds. I didn't like it. But now I've gone back to, because this is the only one that fits in there. I don't like that now, it's far too small and I can't, oh, no, it's no good for dry brushing brushes because there's too much paint. Sounds like he's having a wee, says Quanoman. No, I was running the tap in the bathroom. Right, so let's have a look at the chat. I've got my enormous, very cold coffee, which is what's needed today. What is chat doing? Now, you were asked what's on your bench and what's on the belly, or what's on your bench and what's in your belly. Let's have a look. Osric 9000 has just primed 6 1700 scale ships, waiting for them to dry. Ooh. Mordrak 09 says beach on the beach, apparently not on the bench, but on the beach is Starship Troopers Arachnid Warriors times 20 in the belly coffee. Oh, that's why he said about making the spiders. Okay. Pascal says tomato soup from my new soup maker, and on my bench an old Atari PC case that I am fixing with milliput. An Atari PC, cool. Was that not an Amiga? I thought it was an Amiga, an old Atari. Not an Amiga then, the one before that. I can't remember now. Wayne Haywood says, bench, Legion Stormtroopers, belly, Weatherspoons all day brunch and pancakes with blueberries and ice cream. Ooh, yeah. I like the Weatherspoons all day brunch, especially when it just comes to me in the form of a curry, which is brilliant. Nim says, bench, Dorona, my half-elf ranger figure from Hero Forge. Belly, either dumplings or ramen. I haven't decided yet. Ramen. If you've got a choice between dumplings or ramen, it's always ramen and dumplings. Ramen and dumpling, yes, is the answer. Eric Graham says, a bowl of Frosted Flakes, Lucky Charms, don't judge. And on the bench is still the Warhammer Ridge Runner, so much detail. Oh, it's beautiful detail though. Chris at Gross Models has beans on toast for lunch and did some upgrades to the Terminator rifle. Cool, he's building his 1/2 scale Terminator. Candy Grow from Mongo needs to select a new model from the stash. Mama Fox has just turned on her Xbox because I heard it go boop-a-ding. Played some Destiny last night just to catch up. I haven't played anything in a long time, so I turned on the Xbox last night just for an hour just to catch up. And I was like, I'll turn on. I've not played Destiny for ages. Let me get back into the swing of it. So I turned on Destiny. And it's like, there's the Solstice event. Fantastic! I'll be able to earn some new bits and bobs. And then I realised not only does the Solstice event finish in 4 days, well done, Fox. But I thought, oh, I can have some fun. I might get something out of it. So, because the last time I played Destiny, it was like the winter. It was the spring solstice event or something. So, it was something else. And I played it for about a day and I got nothing out of it. Because by the time I finished, it had finished. And then, so this one's got 4 days left. I thought, okay, well, I'll give it a go. I might earn something, at least a bit of armour or something. Go to the first event. Bang. It's for a fire team of up to 3. I'm like, oh. So, no use if you're just a single player like me, a solo player. Oh, it's like, thanks, Bungie. You could at least throw a bone for some of the people that play by themselves, rather than just making it purely for fire teams. And because I didn't mind when it's like, you know, you go in and you can play solo and do it. I know you can be matchmaked into a fire team with 2 other people, but I really hate playing with randos. I just want to. So anyway, I didn't bother in the end. I got that sweet mask that you start with 700 power, and I'm like, okay, that'll do, but I can't merge it with anything, but I might just wear it until I get something better. So anyway, yes. Don't know where I was going with that. The Marine is extra angry. Oh no, we've done that one. Fox, back in this. Oh, we've done that one as well. Sprewmonger, yeah, we've done that one. Welcome, Sprewmonger. Matt Coat will make the texture as if by magic fade away, says LD. It certainly will. Once this has been varnished, any little very slight... It's kind of almost got like a low quality print, like a lithographic print texture to it. It's almost got an Escher style, Escher-esque texture to it. Very nice. Raging Basis says, dude, I'll be your secretary. They're cutting my hours at work. I'll bring you coffee in the morning. I'll make fresh cakes, scones and whatnot. Brilliant. As long as you like pay at 0. Paint me like... moved. Paint me like one of your Space Marines, says Bassist. Eric Graham said something and retracted it. LD says, spent the afternoon in hospital yesterday getting monitored. 'Twas great and hot. Oh dear. He got a nasty something or other. I'm not going to read it out. You can see it in the chat anyway. Thought it was sepsis, wetting blood. Well, hopefully it's nothing too major, LD. Take care. Hopefully it's just something that will go away very quickly. Best of luck. Belly will be ramen bench Stein weapon, says LD. He's working on his Sinanju Stein. Sprewmonger, a bench 1/100 scale Tyrian ground type from Gundam 00, and Belly several chocolate digestives. They're not quite chocolate hobnobs though, are they? If you're not chocolate hobnobs, you're doing it wrong. Quino Miner's got some white chocolate Twix jobbies. No. There's no point at which white chocolate is correct. Disappointment now. You're out of the will now. And nothing on the bench at the minute, says Quino Man. Speedy Correct. Belly will be the remaining burgers I tried yesterday. Oh my goodness, it were a bit good. Good. Eon's Car, welcome Eon's Car, says Belly, chicken, bagel and Toblerone chocolate. See, this is proper chocolate. And bench Poxwalker's Blood for Blood God on weapons, Alien Fallout from Fallout, and Orc Knob. Cool. I'm still working on my Durnan Mini, says Raging Bassist. I've touched it in a while on bad times at work and stress and depression anxieties. I've been deep into my music and work and studying. You go where the comfort is. That's how it works. Sprewmonger says, lol Fox, I alternate between chocolate hobnobs and digestives. We need to alternate between chocolate hobnobs and chocolate hobnobs. That's it. I mean, chocolate digestives, if somebody else has bought them and they happen to be there, then I'll put them into my face. But if I'm actually acquiring biscuits for my own purposes, it's chocolate hobnobs all the way. All the way. Gross says, Chris at Gross Model says, we could play some Destiny tomorrow. We could do. But we need TK to get the free one when it comes out. Question for Chris. I know TK's not watching, but question for Chris, because Paul doesn't like Destiny anyway. But question for Chris, because they're bringing out the Into the Light package, aren't they, for Destiny in October, I think, or November, or whenever it is, where you basically get the base game and the first 2 expansions for free. TK hasn't got Destiny yet, but if he's waiting to get that because he can get it all for free. So the question I have for Chris is, when TK eventually gets Destiny 2, the free Into the Light version, are we going to just start from scratch and go through the story with him? Should we, in fact, go through Destiny 1 with him first? For funsies. Does he even have Destiny? Well, I don't even know. We'll talk about that offline. I have Conquest on the bench, but going to eat Eccles cakes now as this has made me hungry. Oh, said Daniel House. Welcome, Daniel. Also, Eccles cakes. Oh, you got me thinking about Eccles cakes and potato cakes again now. I know Eccles cakes are nothing to do with potato cakes, but potato cakes. This brush. Still got paint all over it. Yeah, trust me, when you're cleaning out brushes at the end of the day, with your brush cleaner when you've been doing dry brushing. You need to make sure they're clean. It'll take extra work, trust me on this. Still got paint. Oh, look at that big dot of paint. But I'm not getting my hand on it because that'd be mingy. I'll give them a proper clean at the end of the day. Doesn't matter for now because I'm going to be doing more dry brushing anyway. Right, so we've got to do the Boddingtons. We shall start with the slightly smaller base brush from Citadels. Slightly smaller because I've got some areas to like the bells on the backpack here, and then the rest of it I can do with the small base brush. So we'll do this one first. So again, we're going in with the Uriel Yellow. Uriel Yellow, I hate that name, and I hate the colour, and I hate the paint, and I hate the things about it. Really is a horrible, horrible colour. So we shall. Learning from the helmet, we're going a bit thicker than normal, and we'll just, maybe not that thick, and we'll just slowly start working our way along. And we're building up a highlight. Now what I'm doing here, I didn't really explain this, because we're doing like a post shading effect. If you remember, we did the Avalanche Sunset base, which covered everything. Then we did the shade of Agrak's Earth Shade. And then we went over again with the Avalanche Sunset. But what we did was, we didn't just go over everything completely. We stayed away from the edges. We just focused on the centre of panels. Really. But we covered most of it. But we still left all the darkness in the recesses. Now with this, with the Uriel Yellow, I have to say it really carefully, I'm focusing on the centre of panels again, but more, or rather less. I'm going out further. Sticking my words out. I'm moving. There's no way to explain it. I'm staying further away from the edges. I'm focusing more on the centre. And the basic trick is when you're doing this kind of dry brushing post shade. This is what it should look like. The head is a bit of a clusterflock because it's so big and I've got the texture in. But this is what it's supposed to look like. As you step up the colours, you go to lighter and lighter colours. You dry brush a smaller and smaller area. That's the trick. So that you end up with the lightest colour that you use is in the centre of the panel, covers the smallest area, and that gives you your highlight. Put that there. That gives you your highlight area. And it's the circular motion is just to make everything blend together. This is being a lot more forgiving than the helmet. I can happily tell you that. This is a lot more forgiving than the helmet. But like I said, this is learning for me as well, because I've never done one of these Funko Pops. And I've never really dry brushed anything like quite that large. But the trick I'm looking to do is I'm not looking to get the edges really specifically. This isn't an edge dry brush where you flick back and forth. This is a shading dry brush. I want to build up the colour. I don't want to... I mean, I'll hit the edges anyway by default. But I do want to build up the colour in patches as well. Because it's smaller areas, of course, I can use this smaller brush to great effect. Now, I can be a bit messy, and the reason I'm doing all this now before I paint anything else is precisely because I'm being messy. Because I've not painted all the metallic things and the red bits and everything like that, I can afford to go in and be a bit slapdash and careless with the dry brushing. And that's one of the best ways to slowly build up the texture and the shading, is just to not think about it. Use a bigger brush than you think and just go in and slap the colour around. You will get this kind of nice randomness, which works much better than being really thoughtful and careful about it. I hope you can. I don't know if you can see any of this because it's all kind of, the camera's in just the wrong place. As always, the camera's in the wrong place, but never mind. Leon's car says, yeah, I still need to clean my brushes that I used last week. Yeah, I cleaned these this morning, and these are the ones I used last week on last week's show. So yeah, I've been a naughty boy with that. I always forget. I'm like, oh, I forgot to. Oh, God. Now, Dad gives us some very important information. Dad says because he's had, Dad's had a package. I'm guessing, he has a package from our very good mutual friend Kenneth in Australia. And Kenneth, I would assume, I guess, has sent him some Tim Tams. So Dad is telling us that last night he had a Tim Tam Slam. Oh, yeah, I know what a Tim Tam Slam is. Tim Tam Slams are fantastic. If you don't know what a Tim Tam Slam is, then I'm sure either there's a number of Australians in the chat. They'll be happy to explain, or even Dad can explain it now. They will explain to you the joys of a Tim Tam Slam. Probably far better than I can. Now, you see, I'm not being particularly careful. I'm not being delicate. I'm not really focusing on, you know, have I got this bit nice and right? Does it look nice and balanced? Are the edges good? I'm just getting it down. I'm just getting the paint down for the moment. Because there's so much going to go on the top of these. Like I said, the weathering and chipping and other things. It doesn't really matter. I'm not really a perfectionist about this right now. I want it to look worn and used. And if I do go a bit shonky in places, then there'll be ways I can kind of blend that into the weathering later on. I can build the weathering into it to pad that out. So, or to make it look more sensical, if that makes sense. No real word, sensical. Lots of, oh, Dad says lots of, Kenneth sent him lots of Tim Tams, clearly. Look, I'm getting paint off the pot. I do. Oh. Games Workshop, the one thing I wish you would do is just get rid of these stupid pot designs. For the love of dog, just go to dropper bottles. I know your paints are thick. I know it might cause problems. I don't care. Or at least, at the very least, if you're going to stick with pots, please redesign them so they don't just get all this crap at the back. Because it really is an immense pain in the backside, the like of which you cannot begin to comprehend. And I know, of course, you're never going to do that because this makes you money, because people's paints dry out and it doesn't last as long. But for the love of dog, please just have a think about it. People love your paints. They just hate the stuff they come in. Please change it. The one thing everybody in the world has asked you over and over again over the years is, please, for the love of dog, sort your paint pots out. Because I hate getting covered in paint every time I open the pot. It's a pain in the butt. I'm building up the colour here, just get it nice and bright. And if I do get a bit where I put maybe too much on, it's a bit obvious, there's a big yellow patch, doesn't blend very easily, I can play with that later and work that out, it's fine. I want to keep some darkness on the areas down here, because these are the recessed areas where they would be in shade anyway. Yeah. So we can put more of the paint on the top here, even though you're never going to see that because he's got his head in the way. I'm not focusing too much down at the bottom there where the belt and stuff is, because you're not really going to see that. That will be in shade. Go over the armour, ba-do-ba-doo-doo. On the top of the arm here, I'll build it up a bit more because that will be brighter. There are other bits I've got to paint. I've got to paint the grey or black undersuit. I've got to paint the red bits. So I'm not being too delicate and careful right now. But, you know, top of the arms where the colour will be brighter, we'll focus a bit there. On the armour down here on the hands, I can actually do more of a picking out the edges kind of dry brush, because I want to preserve the recessed areas, and they are quite small, so I can actually do more of an edgy dry brush there than a blending. There's not a big surface area to blend anyway, so the hand's not too bad. We can just go in and blend those away. Bottom of the hands under there, of course, they're going to be in shade, shadow, so I don't need to worry about getting them nice and brightly yellow. They can be a little darker. I know it's hard for you to see all of this on camera, all the little tiny details. To quote ELO, all the tiny little details. Unless you know the song Here Is the News, that will mean nothing to you whatsoever. Here Is the News, of course, being probably my all-time favourite ELO song of all time. Brilliant song. I love it. I can't whistle more than that. Copyright, obviously, obvs. But it's a fantastic song. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to carefully do these bits of the leg arm, and then I'll switch to the smaller brush where they go smaller. But we can just focus on the centres here. It does look a bit slapdash, and sometimes it is. Sometimes you get to the point where you just have to just randomly do little circles and hope it all comes out right. And usually it does. That's the beauty about dry brushing. Even if you don't think too much, more often than not, it usually comes good in the end. You are allowed to be a bit slapdash and careless, and it usually works. Especially if you're doing other things. Like I say, if you were just doing this, and then the other colours, and that was it, then this will probably look a bit shonky, and what you want to do instead is actually use an airbrush. But because I'm doing chipping and weathering and everything else, then I'm going to get away with a few shonky bits here and there. It's fine. It's fine. So we can go in these smaller areas. This is a regular base brush. It's the roundy base brush, but it's an old one, so it's a bit floppy at the edge, a bit fuzzy and blown out. So I'm not going to use it for base brushing anymore. But that's what I'm saying. It is then perfect for dry brushing. Still with the little circle motions. But because it's a smaller brush, of course, I can work in smaller areas. Like the tips of the boots here. I can just very gently go in, give it a nice bright-ish highlight. Now it is coming out a lot smoother on here than it did on the helmet, and I will be honest and say that it's coming out much smoother. That's got quite a grainy texture to it. This is coming out much more like it would normally come out. And when you're painting, you know, something normal size, like you wouldn't really, well, you might do this on a mini, but probably a mini's a bit small. But if you're painting, say, like when I was doing the Ridge Runner, painting a vehicle, something smaller, where you can use these softer brushes, then yes, it does come out like this, nice and smooth. And when this has got a varnish on it, it won't look 100% airbrush, but it will look more airbrush than the head does. Now, I'm not worried too much about the feet because they're going to have dirt on them and dust. I've got to get a base for this. I was gonna grab one from Chris when I was in the store on Saturday, but he got sidetracked and forgot. He said I've got something in the back, and then he forgot. So dope. So I'll have to snag myself a little, maybe 60mm base or something. Not a big one. I tried putting him on the base you get for Imperial Knight because I've got a couple of them spare, but it was stupid because there was the dude on one side and all this empty base area that you could fill with diorama, but then you're just making something that takes your attention away from the Space Marine. So I don't like my models to disappear into the diorama, if you know what I mean. Sometimes you want this is the difficult thing. This is a question about dioramas. There's two ways to do a diorama. When you're thinking about planning a diorama, there's two ways to do it. The first type of diorama is one where the entire focus of the viewer and the entire focus of the piece itself is the diorama. At the end of the day, when you finish your model and you put it on a display base of any kind, you're presenting a piece of art. And there's two ways to think about your diorama. Either the entire focus of the whole piece is the diorama itself, in which case having a big diorama and a little tiny model can be fine, because then the entire focus of that diorama is the whole diorama. It's the story the diorama tells, the scenery and the setting and everything else. So in that case, it's fine to have your model a little bit disappear into the scenery. Not a lot. You still want to be able to see the model you put all the hard work into. But the diorama is just as important. The other way to do it is, of course, that the diorama is secondary to the subject, the thing that you've built and painted, the model that you're putting on the diorama. For example, this figure. If I put this figure on a little diorama base, really, the focal point, the entire point of the thing that people look at is the figure. The diorama is just a bit more interesting than putting them on a flat base with a bit of texture on it. It's just a more interesting presentation, but the focus is still the model, not the setting, not the base. So for this, if I was doing something where perhaps he was in an exciting pose, and I could create a diorama around him that told a story, then I could use, say, the knight base, because that's quite big, but it also would tell an interesting story. But he's not. He's just stood there, and there's not really a lot you can do with him. So, in all honesty, if I put him on a base, it's just going to be a base to make it look nice, but not to be as important as the figure of the model itself. That's the trick. So we've got kind of almost two different colours there. So I need to go back over with this yellow. Fluffy Guts is in. Hey, what have I missed? How is all? I'm well, fine, thank you. Not missed much. We're just still dry brushing yellows. We've gone from Avalanche Sunset to Uriel Yellow. We're moving along slowly. I'm going in with some more of the yellow now, but I'm going, like we did with the other brush, I'm going in with a thicker coat on this brush, just to really get the bright areas, maybe a bit too much, the bright areas standing out a bit more, because I want it to be a brighter yellow. So whereas the last coat was a bit, I was up until this point I was doing a delicate dry brush. Now I've done that and I can see how dark it is, I can go in with a semi-dry brush. But again, I'm going very, very gently. I'm still using circles. This way, if I've got too much paint on the brush, I can blend it quickly. If I go bleh and there's too much, I can quickly blend it away into the edges. So it is a way to get rid of some texture, and it is a way to brighten things up. Because a dry brush will give you quite a dull coat. And if you don't want to do lots and lots of layers, try the dull coat first. If it's not dark enough, go with a lot more. But just do it carefully. So, gentle movement. This is why this little brush is brilliant for this. Gentle movements, nice and subtle. Stick to the middle of panels. Go gently. If you go too heavy, just smudge it away. You've still got a few seconds while the paint's still movable. Because at the moment, the head is bright orange, bright yellow, and the torso kind of isn't. So we've still got a bit of work to do on that. It is hard to visualise it. You've got to keep track of what it's going to look like at the end, and it is hard to know whether you've gone too far sometimes. It is hard to judge. I don't know why, but this is coming out more of less of an orange colour. I don't know why this is coming out quite orange, and on here it's not. But it's the same damn paint. Just go figure. Go figure. Doesn't really matter. It's all fun and games. Very weird. So how is everybody? I hope you are all well and dandy. What weather have you got going on there wherever you are at the moment? Are you like us, nice and hot and warm? Or are you having a glum day today? Fox got in a muddle a few weeks ago and invented Puppy Kitten. That was Puppy Dog. Puppy Dog. Even though it existed anyway, I made it up in my brain. So I invented it. Even though it was already a thing. Puppy Dog. Chris at Gross Models has a sore arm. Why do you have a sore arm, Chris? What have you been doing with your sore arm? Obviously within reason. Have you been doing manly bow and arrow stuff again? Is that why your arm's sore? Chris does bow and arrow stuff. Paul D. Tomaso's in. Hey, Paul. He's asking exactly the same question that I just asked. Is how is everybody doing? Great minds think alike. There you go. Well, I've invented Puppy Kitten now. Excellent. Puppy Kitten. Puppa Kitte. You could slang it into Puppa Kitte. I'm not bothering with the pauldrons, like I said before, because they will actually be red. Spid says he's got sore arm because he's pressing all the buttons in his streamcast thing. Yeah, when you watch, for those that don't know, I do this stream every Sunday at 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. Chris, Gross Models, who's in the chat, also does his Warhammer stream from 8 p.m. on Sundays. So after I finish mine, long after, he does his stream for an hour and a bit on Sundays at 8 p.m. on his channel. But he's just got himself one of them things where it's got all the buttons, like, you know, when I need to go to, say, the title screen or something else, I have to lean over to my computer and use the mouse. Chris has got one of them things. Look at the state of this. This is why I hate Citadel pots. It's just bullshit. Citadel, please, for the Games Workshop, for the love of baby Jeebus, please just consider changing your pot design, or at least the lids, for crying out loud. Absolutely just trash. The absolute trash. This is the weird thing though with the pot designs. They are, sounds counterintuitive to what I've just said, but given the fact that you can dip the brush in the pot, that is better when you're doing dry brushing. I'll give you that. This is frustrating me now because this head is so much more orange than the body. It's a bit annoying, but we'll live. We'll live. Yeah, it's kind of better for the dry brushing in a lot of ways because you can just dip the brush in the pot. But at the same time, dear God, I just hate it. What makes it worse is the airbrush paints are the same pots. It's like, really? There's no use whatsoever. We seriously need to work on that, Games Workshop. Seriously, you do, my friends. You need to sort that out now. You do. I was going to paint. I was going to paint something on the hands. That's it. I should do the centre of his little armour on the back of his hand. Can't quite get to there, but that one's in shadows. That's fine. His hand will make a lot more sense once the actual gun's painted. But at the moment, we are just doing the yellow because I need to be able to do all this dry brushing, get it out of the way before I even think about painting like the metals or the golds or the anything else, basically. Now I need to consult the leg end and consult the image I've got on my screen here to remember which bits are red and yellow. So these bits are going to be red, that knee is going to be red, pauldrons are red, the little collars on the arms here are red. I've got the armour here on my iPad, and the sides of the helmet here are red. Everything else is yellow. Oh, and these arm bits here that look really good in yellow, but I've got to paint them red now. Oh. So we'll do all those. We might get some of them done today. It depends how long the dry brushing takes. I'll go back to the chat. So we'll give that one a little rinsey. Rinsey. Let's have a look at chat. Ian's car says, hi Paul, doing great, although warm. I'm in York, it's hot, says Stuart Rose. Feeling hot. I did nothing, woke up and it hurt. I'm being very brave, says Chris at Chris Models. You being a brave soldier. You probably slept funny. Maybe you've got like an arm disease. Maybe there's some unknown arm disease from the tropics that somehow you've got by not being in the Arctic or something, or the Amazonian rainforest. Maybe some little dude from the Amazon has been sucked up into the air because of all the smoke clouds, and he's made it all the way across the ocean, and there's only one of them in England, and he's just happened to have bitten you. And now you've got some bizarre Amazonian rainforest thing going on. Or maybe not. Anyway, yes, so Chris has got one of them things where you press the button to change like screens and stuff. I'm interested to see how that comes out. We'll find out later on. You can tell us all about it later on, Chris. Fluffy Gut says, I feel your pain. I have a semi-frozen shoulder. Ooh, painful. I've got a funky elbow and knackered knees, so I feel your pain as well. I go from being able to sit at the bench for a few hours, for hours and hours with no discernible problems, to suddenly I can't sit down for more than half an hour without being in agony when I get up. It's like, can't win. For me, though, I think it's just old age. Agreed on Citadel Pot says he owns cars. Sometimes I take off the plastic piece at the back. Did Fox just say baby Jeebus? Yes. Fluffy Gut says, I leave the lids open like the evil bitch I am. Yeah, but then they dry out. If I have one of those pots open 5 seconds later, it's knocked over. That's why you need a dad device. Spid says, there's a big bright shining ball in the sky in Scotland. We're all scared. Send help. Right, so we're caught up on chat. So next we need to do the next yellow colour, which is going to be Phalanx Yellow. Phalanx. This is a Destiny phrase. This big dude with a shield that's a pain in the butt. Somebody tell me, Destiny, play Destiny, right? Why is it a Phalanx is fairly easy to take out? You just shoot the centre of your shield and it goes away, and then eventually he's dead and happiness. And yet, when you get a taken Phalanx, they're like 1,000 times harder to kill, right? Pain in the bum. I don't know. Explain that to me, someone. It's nonsense. Just stay at that. It's nonsense. Stay in my hand. Oh, Games Workshop. Oh. Trigger, trigger, trigger. Right. So next we have Phalanx Yellow, which is another bright. This is a lovely, lovely bright yellow colour. Dancing Phalanxes, says Spid. Just Django says, Slovenia weather is just real nice, not too hot, not too cold. Nice. Beyond Hope says, all my Citadel paints, welcome Beyond, says, all my Citadel paints have been decanted into dropper bottles with some ultimate modelling product thinner 50-50. Well, that's the weird thing. I don't like to thin them really like that because they start to behave differently. This brush is already seized up. What I'm going to do, I'm going to very quickly, it sounds weird, I'm going to clean my brush. This one at least, because I want to use it again, but it's already gone stonky with that paint. So I'm going to do, just going to get myself some warm water. So give me 1 second. Back in a second. I'll fill my other pot as well while I'm there. Hang on. Give me 1 moment. Warm water across the universe. There we go. Ooh. Right, so I'll give this brush a quick, proper grown-up clean. I'll need more tissue. Proper grown-up clean with the brush cleaner. Where is the brush cleaner? There it is. Do you know, I'm so disorganised. Wee sound on the way, says Quano Man. No. No weeing. It's too hot. I'm sweating too much to need to go for a wee, like a week. I was quite impressed that when I was at the Warhammer store last Saturday, I got there at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't need to go for a wee until about 4 o'clock when we went to Wetherspoons to get some lunch. At all that time, I didn't need to go for a wee once. At all. None of it. And you know what I'm like, I need to go for a wee every 5 minutes, but nope, didn't have to do any of that. At all. But it was only because it was really warm, basically. Beyond Hope says, the echo in the bathroom that gives him away, huh? We don't have a toilet in the bathroom. We have a toilet in a separate room. We're civilised. Let's see if we can give this a proper clean. Or at least a decent enough clean so it's not going to go crispy by the next time. Do Games Workshop stores have toilets, says Earl D? They do, but like most retail premises, I don't know, some might have. They're really big, they might have customer toilets. The thing with retail in the UK is not every store will have a toilet because by law you have to have facilities for the staff. But not every store has customer toilets. What that means is, for example, my local Games Workshop is only a small store. It has a toilet, but that is a staff toilet for staff. And as a customer, you can't use that toilet. purely because of insurance. The premises will be insured, I would assume, but they will not be insured with... On the insurance, it will not include things like customer toilet facilities. I'm assuming this anyway, because it's the way in most retail outlets. They may have a toilet, but if they're not insured for customers to use it, they won't let you use it. So in my local Warhammer store, of course, they'll say Chris has his little staff toilet, which is fine, but it's not a customer toilet. I think as well, if you have customer toilets, you have to have a lot more things provided. If it's a staff toilet, you need a bog and a sink, and that's about it, and maybe a thing of soap. If it's a customer toilet, you need to probably have like men's toilets, women's toilets, baby changing, all this kind of other nonsense. Whereas if it's just a staff toilet, you just have a bog. That's it, a bog. So yeah, so they have a toilet there, but it's just a staff toilet. So I just used Weatherspoon. We went for lunch, and I went there because in reality, if you're a little tiny store like that, customers aren't going to be there all day normally anyway. Right, so that'll do for now. Beyond Hope says, but Fox, what if you're in the middle of a GW sponsored Warcry skirmish and you get caught short? Surely it's the manager's. It probably is just down to the manager. They'd probably be like, you know what, just go and use the toilet. It's at the manager's discretion, I would suspect. But it's the problem, I suppose, is that if a customer uses your staff toilet and then slips and falls somehow, how is the insurance covered that? But again, I think I would guess probably on insurance forms when you're setting up a business premises, it'll have things like, do you have customer toilet facilities? Yes or no. And if you say yes, okay, does it have a disabled rail? Does it have male and female toilets? Does it have, if it's a unisex toilet, so it's one for both, does it have all the things that a women's toilet needs that a men's toilet doesn't have? And so on and so on. So for a lot of stores, it's just a case of, look, it's a bog, it's for the staff. Most customers won't be here for more than 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah. Only if they serve food or drink, I think. Yeah, I think if you serve food or drinks, you have to provide customer toilets. If you're a retail shop, you don't. But a lot of places do. Like you go to a supermarket, they have customer toilets because they also have like a little cafe where they serve food and drinks. They have to do that, and also they expect you to be there for quite a while. So again, it's probably in their interests to provide you with big grown-up toilets. If you go into a little local corner shop, you're going to be there for 5 minutes. Male, female in the Games Workshop shop. Right, says Chris at Gross Models. You'd be surprised how many girls like Warhammer. I'm going to give this a blast with the hairdryer. I shall turn the microphone... I'll leave the microphone on. Give me one sec. Da-da-da. Drying all the moisture away. Now, I don't actually recommend drying your brushes out with a hairdryer because just like normal hair, it can affect the filaments at the end of the day. But for the sake of my live stream, got to do things quick. Right. Me, I'm female, says Fluffy Guts. Last time I checked. Yep. You'd be surprised how many of my viewers are actually girls. It's cool. I love it. I think it's brilliant. I have no bias towards males or females, or I don't really care. At the end, I've always said, and this is without getting into politics and all that kind of nonsense, I don't care who you are. If you watch my stuff, or you put comments on my videos, or if you're a follower, whatever, I don't care who you are. I don't care whether you're a man or a woman. I don't care where you come from in the world. I don't care. It is of no relevance to me at all. It doesn't change anything about how I look at you or think about you or any opinions I have of you. Don't care. Spitz says, I've never been served food or drink in a shop toilet. Where do I complain? Mordraka says, the males are the minority at my local game store. That sounds awesome. I think Games Workshop, you can definitely, up until recent years, they certainly had the problem of it was a boys thing, and they'd always kind of marketed it that way, and that was a bit rubbish. And up until a few years ago, of course, they didn't actually care about that. It was a neckbeard thing, you know. But I think over the years, they've realised that now. They've actually, since the new management came in, afternoon Clarky, since the new management took over, like in 2012, I think it was, they've kind of made steps to change that now, to change the way that's seen. And they know that's not right. They're slowly getting there. Right, now we're going for the light yellow colour. Let's see how this comes out then, shall we? Now this is on the head, which looked like absolute gash because of all the texture. But we shall see. Now I don't mind if this is super patchy, because this is going to look like this is going to start to suggest a kind of bleached paint effect. And if it goes completely wrong, I can always Borderlands it up and start doing like an ink outline and other effects on there to blend it all away. So we shall see how it comes out. Now this one goes on quite nicely. Fluffy Gut says, I'm still the only woman at my local War Games club though. If it's War Games, I assume that's including things like the historical stuff, which is traditionally blokes, and old blokes at that. I think the difficulty is that things like Warhammer and stuff and tabletop gaming, it's still probably a majority men, a boys thing, but it's changing. I think it's good that it's changing. It needs to change. Because if you're playing Warhammer, it doesn't matter, you know, who you are, what you are. It's not even relevant. All that matters is you play the game, you have fun. That's all that matters. And I think men that get all twitchy because women are getting involved in things that men do are just idiots. Their opinion is irrelevant. They're dinosaurs from an old age and carry no weight. That's quite a nice bright yellow, that. And what's the matter with old blokes, says Fox, says Stuart Road. Hey, I'm an old bloke. I'm an old bloke. Almost 50 now, you know. Getting towards my 50s. Whoa. Yeah, I'm not super impressed with the head. I've not done the best job on the head. I'm better on the armour, but again, I think when I paint the other one, whatever design I do for that, it will be airbrushed rather than actual dry brushed. I think this is just a bit too big for the dry brushing. Especially on live stream. If I did this with the smaller base brush, it would probably come out looking fantastic. But I can't sit here and spend 3 weeks dry brushing the head for you guys. So that wouldn't really work, would it? If you're old, then God help us. There's one guy at the club who can't handle having a female woman around the place. Then he's a tit. Without being too offensive about it, he's an idiot. And his opinion is irrelevant. Because you know what? I mean, I've never actually played Warhammer or any tabletop game. But whatever I'm doing, any kind of thing like that, where any kind of game or fun or whatever, playing a game online, doesn't matter. I don't care if the person playing me is male or female, young or old, gay or straight, religious, not religious. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's of no relevance. If I'm playing a game of Warhammer with someone, if I'm playing a bit of 40k, what does it matter whether the person rolling the dice is a man or a woman? It's irrelevant. You can't play this game because you've got breasts. What? No, it's nonsense. That kind of opinion is pathetic. It's somebody stuck in the 1950s and their opinion needs to be ignored. It doesn't matter whether you're a man, a woman, gay, straight, what colour you are, what religion you are. I don't care. All I care about is that you can roll a dice and play the game and have fun. And that if you whoop my ass, you're not a complete git about it. Because I'll tell you, the only thing worse than neckbeards is female neckbeards, because good God. But then again, it's very rare you get that. But yeah, I don't care. I think people with that mindset, they just need to either shut up or just get out of the hobby. Get my words out. Shut up or get out of the hobby, because they're ruining it for those of us who are actually, you know, intelligent and modern and not primitive and actually got half a brain. So this is really bringing out the yellow now. It's a little bit. It still looks textury, but like whoever it was in chat that said earlier on, and like I said at the similar thing, once you get the matte varnish on here, a lot of this will disappear and hide away. And this might have to be the final yellow coat. Well, this will be the final yellow dry brush coat, because although I'd like to go lighter, and if I'd airbrush this, it will be a lot lighter. I can't really afford to go any further dry brushing, because the texture, as you add more and more coats, like I said before, the texture builds up on texture, and you get that kind of, because you're dry brushing it, it picks out the edges, and it just gets a bit silly looking. And it gets worse and worse. It will exaggerate it even more. So there's only so far you can go with dry brushing, to be perfectly honest, with something this big. Like I say, if you're doing your own, then I do recommend you do this with airbrushes rather than dry brushing. It looks fine on the body, but on the head, on the faceplate here, it looks fine again because it's a small area. But on the head, yeah, it's grainy. But you get the idea. It's just like an extreme form of pre-shading, really. I'm not going to do much under the head, because I want that to stay dark, I think. I need to do this little side bits. If 50 is new 30, I must be 18. Hang on. I've got to think about this one. Eric Graham says, if 50 is the new 30, I must be 18, being that I'm 35. Don't make me do maths live on telly. It's outrageous. You should expect me to be able to do maths without prior warning. I've not got my smarticles on. While I'm doing this, don't forget, of course, the stream is supported, and my Warhammer content is supported by the awesome guys at Goblin Gaming, the UK's leading tabletop gaming store. If you want to save 20% off recommended retail price on all your Warhammer Games Workshop, Warhammer 40k or Age of Sigmar goodness, or you want to save 20% off RRP on Conflict 47 goodness, or if you're one of the people that plays Malifaux, if you want to save up to 20% off RRP on everything Malifaux, or if you don't play any of those, if you just want to save big savings of up to other percentages on everything else they stock, because everything is discounted, but 20% on those three. If you want to make big savings regardless, then you want to go to the guys at Goblin Games. And remember, below this video, in the description below the video, is my personal affiliate link to Goblin Games. If you use that link, if you make that the link in your favourites, then every time you place an order, I get a little tiny bit of commission on that order that you place. It doesn't cost you anything more. You don't pay extra. But because the guys at Goblin Gaming are so awesome, every time somebody orders using my link, they give me a little bit of income. So if you need to pick some stuff up, Games Workshop, Malifaux, Conflict 47 or anything else, they've got Pokemon, they've got Magic the Gathering, they've got proper board games, they've got Borderlands, no, not Borderlands, they've got Fallout Wasteland Warfare, they've got all the traditional tabletop games you can think of. If you need to pick some stuff up, check them out. Use the link in the description below this video and you'll be helping me out massively. And don't forget, of course, I do have as well an Amazon store. If you need to pick up some model making good bits and bobs, tools and things like that, stuff that you'd normally get off Amazon, you know, stuff like your brush cleaning stuff or your parchment paper for your wet palette or bits and bobs, paints, brush, anything like that, including things like Citadel paints and everything else, I do have my own Amazon store. So again, there's a link in the description below the video. Do go there. Again, if you use that link, you'll be helping me out massively on this channel, because that is my affiliate link and I earn a little tiny bit of scratch when you use those links. And last of all, don't forget, of course, if you want to just support the channel directly, apart from subscribing to the channel and liking all my videos, do remember that you can go to my Patreon page at patreon.com/modelmakingguru. The link's down there on the bottom of the screen, where you can support this channel directly. Right now, at the moment, there is a there's a Master Grade Cesabi build underway. I'm in the middle of editing filming episode 3. That is a Patreon exclusive series. So if you want to be watching that, you need to be a Patreon supporter. So do go and check that out. Right, that's the head done. So you can see now, to you guys, it probably looks really cool. How's it look to you lot? Yeah, I'll zoom in a bit so you can maybe see some of the texture. It's quite heinous. I said heinous. With an H and an E and an I. Thank you very much, Paul. If I zoom in, you can maybe see a little bit. It's got a little bit of a velvety look to you guys there. But it has got a texture to it. But it's fine. Once you look at it from a distance, like I say, once the varnish is on there and we've done some chipping and some scratching and other bits and bobs, it might hopefully blend away a bit. But it's got this nice dirty look to it. It looks a bit more interesting than just painting it yellow. Let me zoom out again for you. So I need to do the same now on the body. Oh, Gross Models has put the link for my Patreon in there. Thank you very much, Chris. And the link for Goblin Gaming as well. Yep, thank you very much. Reese is in, but where's his chat? Oh, Reese is in. Not bad, thank you, mate. Just chilling, be busy at work. Reese is in. RGC Models official. Welcome, Reese. Good to see you, buddy. Fluffy Coat says, oh, that reminds me, I'm 3D printing out the cars from Fallout 4. Oh, cool. I did actually paint some of the Wasteland Warfare figures last summer. The guys from Modiphius actually contacted me and say, hey, in fact, no, I tell a lie, I actually contacted them, I think. Did I contact them? I can't remember now. Anyway, I think I contacted them and say, hey, would you like me to film some building paints? And they're really nice guys. They sent me go that tissue. I've got paint on my desk. Oh, hang on. Got to clean some paint off me smart cutting mat. They sent me a Nora, a Super Mutant, and a Dog Meat to paint, and they're really nice guys. We had a good time painting. They're beautiful resin figures. They're absolutely fantastic. And they did say they'd send me some more, but they never did. But that's fine, you know, these things happen. You know, I'm not losing sleep over it. But yeah, they have some of the vehicles like the Corvega and stuff. If you don't know, I'm just cleaning my desk. Sorry, I've got some paint on my good cutting mat. I'm just cleaning some of it off. So yeah, if you're not looking to play the game, they are some beautiful resin figures. They were really nicely done. They're absolutely fantastic. Now we all know that, you know, Games Workshop can't do resin for toffee. Their fine mold, fine cast stuff is absolute gash. Obviously Forge World's a bit better, but the fine mold, this Games Workshop stuff, not the Forge World stuff. But yeah, the Modiphius stuff's really nice. But the beauty is, of course, if you're painting some of the Fallout Wasteland Warfare stuff and you want to make it look really good, just get the game and take some screenshots of the loading screens for things like the weapons, the Coke machine, all that kind of stuff, the Nuka-Cola machine. They're all weathered. Perfect weathering reference. In fact, do that anyway. If you've got the game, do it anyway, just for general reference. Right, let's paint. With the Goblin Gaming, by the way, remember I was going to say Goblin Gaming. If you're in the EU or the UK or Republic of Ireland, you can use that link. LD says Banzai Hobby are out of the stock of every kit I want to order. No, don't. I assume you're buying Gumplers and things. Oh, that's one thing I forgot to say as well. Just Django mentions point system. The thing with Goblin Games, if you're ordering through there, you do accrue points, and when you get so many points, you can use those points to order cool stuff, to buy things. So there's all a points reward scheme base. I keep forgetting that. Why is the Warhammer stuff so addicting? Asks Eric Graham. Because it's just so good. It's just so good. I never made a Games Workshop kit ever. Never ever until I got back into. I was doing modelling for 30 years, 30, 40 years. I did lots of military stuff, tanks and things like that, World War II stuff. Then I fell out of the hobby for a while. Then I got back into it. No, by the way, I'm doing this an extra bright coat, but I'm staying away from the edges now. I'm just going for the centres and the highlight areas. got back into it, did some Star Wars stuff, and then fell into Gunpla, and Gunpla addicted me for a while. And then for whatever reason, I can't remember, I made a Warhammer kit. Warhammer 40k kit. I made the Tau Piranha. I had no interest in the game at all. But I think I just read something somewhere, somebody saying how good their models were. And after coming off the back of, first of all, Fine Molds, who made some of the awesome, up until Bandai, they made just the best Star Wars kits. And coming off the back of Bandai making all the Gunpla kits, which were an eye-opening revelation for me. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Coming off the back of that, and before that, only ever seeing, you know, Tamiya kits and things like that, Fine Molds, and only experiencing British model kits as crappy Airfix and things like that at the time, to suddenly find that there was a British, it doesn't really matter they're British, but a model manufacturer who makes glue models of sci-fi stuff that isn't Revell, because your choice was basically sci-fi stuff was basically Revell or Japanese stuff, and they made very, very, very good kits. I had no interest in the game or the lore, but I was like, wow, these models are amazing. The detail is beautiful, and it actually got me painting brush painting, because up to that point I'd tried doing brush painting and sucked hard at it. Later on I would realise it's because I was trying to do brush painting with Tamiya paints. I didn't know when I was younger. I didn't know. So I was trying to do brush painting with Tamiya paints and sucking hard at it, because Tamiya paints are terrible for brush painting. It was only when, I can't remember what got me into, I think I must have just happened to for some reason watch some Warhammer TV, watch some Duncan painting stuff. And suddenly I was like, I'm interested in trying these paints. I'd not really tried. I'd used water-based, I'd used, like, you know, Vallejo game colours and stuff and all that before, but I'd always used them as an airbrush or just for touch-up. I'd never, because I'd had such a bad experience painting with brushes, with Tamiya paints, I thought all brush painting was terrible, and I didn't bother. So I got myself, you know, a couple of kits, and I tried them out. And with these paints that I'd never used, these Citadel paints, and I got myself a couple of brushes. And in the same way that Bandai kits blew my mind because I'd never experienced anything like it. Wait, you mean these are push-fit kits that aren't complete ass? How is that even possible? So in the same way it blew my mind, that they blew my mind that way, the Citadel paints blew my mind. I'm like, wait, I can brush paint now? Because I tried the Tower Piranha, and then I did my little Land Speeder kit, and I suddenly realised, hang on, I can actually do brush painting. I wasn't brilliant, I'm still learning, I've only been doing actual brush painting like this for a couple of years, but I was like, hang on, I can actually do brush painting. This is insane. Because I'd always sucked, but suddenly I was able to do it. And I think that, to a certain degree, biased me towards their kits, because they suddenly opened my eyes. Thanks to Games Workshop, my eyes were opened, and suddenly I could actually paint things with a brush. To the point now where I would actually much rather brush paint everything and never pick up my airbrush again, because it's so much more fun. It's just fun. There's no thinking, there's no complex cleaning of stuff out and all that nonsense. It's just having fun. And aside from that, the kits are designed to be absolutely as brush paintable as possible, which is fantastic. You'll notice here I'm going to the little gaps on the sides on the weapon here, purely because I want to do the little bit of inside between the... I'm not painting carefully because these stick out, the big bits of the sides will be red, but the little gap in the middle is yellow. So I'm just trying to get in there now to get the yellow in there, rather unsuccessfully, I should add. So this, I don't need to go down to the small brush for this, because I am being a bit more subtle with these. I can just pick out the edges of the fingers on there. Some places I can just do the edgy dry brushing rather than the blendy dry brushing, because I just want to keep the darkness. On here, I think I might go to the small brush in a second. In fact, I might do that in a moment. I'll just get the back of the backpack, you say? So yeah, so I think partially because I suddenly realised I could actually do brush painting and I never had been able to before. Purely because I was doing it right and I was following the instructions, and of course I was using decent paints that could do brush painting. I nearly put that in my coffee then. I nearly put it in my coffee to rinse it. Oh, nearly. Not quite though. So, but I think in terms of the addiction of the kits, I think it's purely because they're so simple to build. More often than not, they're dead simple. And being blatantly honest, if I'm really, really honest about this, forgetting the fact for a minute of the actual subject of the kits, forgetting that they're, you know, tabletop game kits or whatever the subject of the kit is, in terms of the quality of the kits themselves, I have to say that the Games Workshop stuff is some of the simplest and yet most beautifully designed and best mouldings and toolings, the recent stuff, I've ever come across. I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, you've got your AFV kits from people like Dragon and Trumpeter and stuff, and they're outstanding quality. But in terms of, but they, you know, they're like professional hardcore models with a trillion parts and photo etch and everything else. That's not what Games Workshop does. But in terms of actual high quality plastic, they put manufacturers to shame. They put Revell and Airfix and everybody else to absolute shame. Now, obviously, some of the older kits are a bit gnarly and have their issues. Of course they do. Nothing's perfect. But some of the modern stuff... I mean, for example, let's just get this out of the way. Aside from the fact that they're not in realistic scales, obviously, some of the figures... Like, you look at a Primaris Space Marine, maybe he's an intercessor, and he's not wearing a helmet. So he's got his head uncovered, and you can see his face, and he's probably shouting, because let's be honest, they always shout. He's probably shouting, and he's got an angry look on his face. That face is probably those faces are probably the best sculpted faces you'll see on a model kit. I mean, better than Tamiya, even better than Tamiya. Tamiya used to be the undisputed masters of the actual human figure in 1/35th scale. They used to be the gods of it. Because Italeri and Revell have no freaking idea what the human body looks like, how it works, how a face works. They've got no idea. Those things that Revell and Italeri put out, they're not humans. They're not even... It's absolute garbage. And you get some models that come with decent looking figures. And for a long time, Tamiya were the undisputed masters of the 1/35th scale military miniature figure, because their faces had these great expressions. Every figure was different. They had a character and personality, and they looked brilliant. But I tell you what, I know they're not 1/35th scale, but you can sometimes combine Warhammer minifigures with 1/35th scale, say, tanks and stuff, and they kind of work. So, as close as they are, Warhammer figures are some of the best sculpted figures. Just in terms of just the faces. They're beautiful. And they're dead simple to make. And the details crisp and an absolute joy to paint. And there you go. That's why I love them so much. Am I saying that, you know, Games Workshop do things perfectly? No, of course they don't. Their pricing structure is weird, but then again, it has to be. It's based on a whole different market than normal models, and it's not really, it's kind of naive to expect them to charge the same way as regular model makers. Their paint containers, as we found out, suck. Their sort of minimal acknowledgement that people like to use airbrushes kind of sucks. I know they have the air paints, but let's be honest, they're still not really thin enough for airbrushing, and they come in stupid pots. Yeah, that's not how you do airbrush paints. They don't really acknowledge the existence of airbrushes, which is fine, I suppose, you know, if you want to. But the fact that a lot of people do use airbrushes to paint their minis, I think eventually they're going to have to acknowledge this fact. And the fact that the one thing everybody asks for all the damn time is dropper bottles. God, it's not hard. Never mind. Moving on. Grumpy old man mode off. There's lots of things they do right anyway. Lots and lots of things they do absolutely right. And the quality, I've often said, I will quite happily say this, in terms of the quality of the toolings and the sculpts in some of their modern kits, they're second only to Bandai in terms of the engineering of the quality. And you can see how good they are if you get the Warhammer Conquest part work, because the Warhammer Conquest stuff isn't made in Nottingham, in the Nottingham in the headquarters. If you go to Warhammer World in Nottingham, that's also where they make all the stuff. That's where all the models are manufactured. It's the manufacturing plant. Everything's made there, all the official stuff. So if you get the Conquest stuff, you'll notice the plastic's different. The mouldings are kind of a little bit weird. It's not the same. It's not exactly the same. And that's because that stuff's made in China by a third party. It's not made by Games Workshop in Nottingham. It's made elsewhere. And it's good. But it just goes to show, even the people they get to make the stuff for them, for things like Warhammer Conquest, aren't as good. And I think Games Workshop and Bandai are kind of in a league of their own in terms of the quality of their tooling and moulding processes. The older stuff, yeah, obviously the older stuff's a bit shonky here and there, and it's got a lot of issues, but that's the older stuff. You can't do much about that. They're all moulds. You can't really do much. But yeah, it's incredible, some of the stuff they do. Some of the quality. Right, that's about all the light colour I want to do on the Boddingtons. It's like a mate market in here. Boddingtons. So I think that's as far as I want to go with the yellows. Again, the head is a little bit brighter than the bod, but we'll live with it. It's fine. It's fine. A lot of the bod is technically in shade anyway. So that's all the yellows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take his head off. Make the noise, obviously. I'm going to wash this brush. I'm going to have a look at chat. And then I'll have a swig of coffee and then we'll do some other colours. What are we on? Coming up to 5 o'clock. Oh, it's nearly sticker time, I think, then. I'll give these a proper clean later on. And what I probably will do as well, I might do it now actually. I might do it now. I know what I can do. I know what I can do. Okay. I want these yellows to all blend together. Not that. I want to maybe make it all look more uniform. So the one last thing I can do on the yellows is add a glaze. And what I can do is sacrifice some of my Lamenter's yellow. I love Lamenter's yellow, and I am really, really sad that they no longer make this because there's now a contrast paint that does the same job. So what I shall do, give this a quick blast with the hairdryer just to make sure everything is cured. Give me 1 second. Dryer across the universe. I shouldn't be doing this in here because it's really, really warm. Bad idea, folks. Bad idea. I'll give the head a blast as well. There we go. What I'll do very, very quickly, I'm leaving the head under there like that because you can't really see it and it just looks dark and shadowy. What I shall do is I shall put it first on the body. Now, if you've not used a glaze before, glaze is just basically a very, very thin paint. And the idea of a glaze, unlike a shade is designed to run into the recesses, and although it tints the surface, it will also sit in the recesses and darken those down or lighten them up depending on what the shade is. With a glaze, it's designed to be more uniform. It's not designed to do that. It's designed to just uniformly cover everything about the same. And I need to find a brush. Find a soft brush. I need a soft brush. That one I'll do. That base brush. Where's that base brush gone? That's a dry brush. You can't use a dry brush, folks. I'll use a shade brush. It's designed to just uniformly cover everything about the same. So if it goes into a recess, it won't be necessarily any darker than the rest of it. So I'm going to get some of this Lamenter's yellow. Straight from the pot. It's very, very thin. And what this is, a very bright yellow tone. And what it will do is it will kick all this yellow up to the next level. I don't know if you'll see on camera, but it really makes it goes from a dull yellow colour to this massively bright poppy yellow, which is exactly what I'm after. It just turns it up to 11 and makes it go ding. Now this kind of glaze is most useful where you've got maybe, for example, multiple different colours, or where you've got, say you've painted a dark yellow base colour and then you've put, say, a highlight colour on that's a lot brighter, and there's a massive difference between them. So what a glaze might do is, for example, let's say I painted it in Avalanche Sunset, but then I did a highlight in the Phalanx Yellow. There's a massive difference there, and it'd look like a real stark contrast between the dark Avalanche and the bright Phalanx Yellow. What the glaze will do, it just kind of ties them together. It blends them together a little bit, and it just makes it all more cohesive. Now I'm doing this now because I've not got any other colours on there, so I can just slap this all over. That's the idea. We've obviously still got the reds and things to do and all the other colours, but while I've got nothing else on there, I can just carelessly get this on. It's really making it pop. The yellow has suddenly gone really poppy bright now. It's beautiful, beautiful. Get some down there. Really makes it come to life. There are other reasons and benefits to using glazes, but I really will miss this Lamenter's Yellow because it's a beautiful, beautiful glaze colour. I'm going to carefully put his head on, but not all the way, because I don't want to take the paint off the pauldrons. And what we'll do is we'll do exactly the same on Bonsington McBon. Now this is already quite bright, so it's just going to make his yellow bonds even more yellowy brightiness. But the beauty of these glazes is, or any glaze you make, is they don't tend to dry streaky or patchy. Like a shade would dry patchy. This has got different surface tension properties. It's just a thinned paint. And well, it's not thinned, it's diluted. So it's the same as a normal paint. It's just got less pigment per, I don't know, milliliter. Think of it that way. So it's not going to go patchy, or unless you really mess it up, it's not going to go patchy or streaky. It's going to be a nice uniform colour. And it's so transparent, it would take you billions of coats to build up this colour into anything other than a quick hint. But it just, to my eyes now, I don't know if it comes out on camera, but to my eyes now, it just really makes this yellow scream and stand out and pop and go from yellow to yellow like that. It's like, it's that difference. So I'm going to put the lid back on there. Massive difference that is made. It'll tone down a little bit as it dries, but that has made the world of difference. Again, it's more obvious in real life than on camera. I'm just going to get this brush, give this brush a bit of a rinse. Now we've still got lots of stuff to do on there. We've got all the reds to do. We've got to do the all the metallic bits and the undersuit and the piping around the helmet. Now the problem is I've got with this is when you look at a Primaris, whatever they're called, this bit is typically painted silver because it's like a metal tube, but they've given it a rib texture, which means it's going to be like a rubber stretchy tube. Okay, we can do that. Just as a quick reminder, if you're not sure what I'm actually painting, if you didn't join us at the start, I am painting technically this. This is the livery for the Angry Marines, a made-up made-up chapter of Space Marines. They have rude words, they hate everything, they shout, they just made of hatred and anger. They're always angry all the time. So there you go. So that's what they will look like eventually. I've not quite got the brightness of the yellow, but I'm doing a more realistic colour scheme. So there you go. Right, so we're going to leave him to dry. Have a quick look at chat. We need to have a swig of coffees and we need to do some stickery giveaways. Let's have a look. So yes, Eric Graham asks, why is the Warhammer stuff so addicting? I think in a later comment he says that he makes model railroads. So he must have just got into the Warhammer. So welcome to the addiction. I think to put it in a nutshell, I think it's because it's easy to build and because of the way it's so crisply designed and such deep structures and deep recesses and obvious. I think if you look at a Warhammer model, it's not got little subtle panels. Everything's really recessed, either really recessed or really pronounced, and that makes brush painting a dream. Let's have a look. There's funny noise outside. Sounds like a plane's about to crash into the house. Or at least land crash somewhere. Very weird. Hopefully not. Let's have a look. Dad says, just started his scrapjet. Yep. Like me and Dave Barker from Butcher That Model, we've all kind of started to make some of the Orc vehicles. They are brilliant. Dad's making the scrapjet. Really, I've not got that one. Fluffy Gut says, taking your hand-painted army into battle is a wonderful thing. Yeah, taking it into the actual tabletop and playing with your army that you've taken care to paint. I can imagine. When I played this guy on the tabletop, I played 2 games. One was that Clash game that we played. There's a bit of excess there. I'll clean that up quickly. One was the quick sort of character clash where you build your own character, and that lasted for about 10 minutes. And the other one was the Daka rally, which was using vehicles. And it was such good fun. I mean, I have to admit, with my dodgy knees, after 2 hours, my knees were crippling me in pain just standing up at the table. So that is a problem for me. I can see that being a problem. But it was such good fun. We were laughing so much because we didn't know the rules. I really want to play now. I want to get loads of dudes paid up and actually play. And I'll have to just get, because I'm socially awkward penguin. I hate being around people because I'm socially so totally awkward. I'm always, totally uncomfortable around people, even awesome people. But I'll have to just get past that and get past the fact that it'll take me a while to learn the rules because I am an idiot. When it comes to logical stuff, I'm an arty-farty artist. I don't do lateral thinking. I don't do logic. Just to remember and follow the rules. I'm like, hang on, what does this armor save mean? When I was playing, I'd be like, hang on, I've rolled 6. Is that good or bad? Does that mean I can kill him or I can't kill him? I couldn't remember. Paul Di Tomas said, I'd like to get the Goblin Jet. Goblin Jet. Is that an orc thing? They do have some awesome planes. Me being an avid model railroader, says Eric Graham. That's why he's asking about the Warhammer being so addictive. Which one LD? Asked Dad about his knight. Because Dad's got the Night Desecrator and LD says he's got the Renegade box. I've still got the Renegade box set. Somebody did ask me the other day about filming painting an Imperial Knight. I do have. I haven't done I can see the seam line there. I sanded the seam line on his head. I can see it there now. It's showing up. Whoop. Now we've got the paint on there. There is a horrendous seam line on here. I might have to cover that seam line with some weathering. We'll see if we can get creative with that later on and hide it. Yes, he's asking me about painting knights. I have got a couple of knights I need to paint. I didn't film painting Weather Imperial Knight. I will do a painting Imperial Knight thing. I have made some inquiries about potentially doing one, but that's up in the air at the moment. But yes, I will do painting knights at some point. Nim Cinderin says, I've just posted some work in progress on my figures in the Boom Hut. It's nowhere near being done, but I'm happy with it so far. I shall take a look later. Don't forget, of course, if you're not in the Model Makers Boom Hut on Facebook, but you're on Facebook, I do have a group, the Model Makers Boom Hut, which is facebook.com/groups/model boom hut. It is the best place on the internet to be showing off and hanging out and talking about models because it's super friendly and there's no snarking allowed. If one of the mods could post a link, that would be brilliant. Let's have a look. Eric says, I have really shaky hands and hated detail painting by hand. Love this Warhammer stuff. You can screw up slightly and get by with it. I am getting better at doing detail stuff. Yeah, it's so beautifully sculpted. Everything is really, like I said, either really recessed or really massively prominent. And if you wanted to, say you've got a panel and you want to get the edge nice and clean, it probably sticks up so much you can't help but get it nice and clean. And the shades will always hide a lot of sins. Fluffy Gut says, my Space Marines are black with a black wash and then some black detail. They're the Raven things. Yeah. Interzone says, Tweety Bird yellow, and Nim says, I thought I saw a putty tap. I did see a putty tap. Eric Graham says, always go into a Warhammer shop for paint, come out $50 lighter. This is correct. Ask George about that. George is the latest convert, our latest convert to the Warhammers. Yeah, he's as hooked as all of us now. Didn't take much. Sorry, George. I really am sorry. We've totally hooked George on the Warhammers now. Right. What time are we on? It is 5 o'clock. I think it is time to put him to side for the moment. It's like a cheap Oscar, isn't it? It's like the world's cheapest Oscars. Right, so put him to one side for a moment. I don't think we're going to get him finished today. I didn't think it'd take this long to paint one dude, but there you go. Today we need to give away some stickers. Now, before we do any stickery giveaway type stuff, let me put that there so it's not. I have to name and shame some people. Like I said, on Friday, I sent out stickers to everybody who was waiting for stickers. And these are going back to April. And probably some of you got some extras. There are a few people that just mailed me, didn't win a competition, they just mailed me to say, hey, can I have a sticker? I've sent those out as well. So if you're watching this and you're waiting for stickers for months and months, they're on their way. However, there were some people that haven't yet mailed me with their details. We have Champchi, who won 2. We have Retro Rabbit, who won 1. We have Vasily, who won 1. Balaclava Bob, who won 1. Deaths 0079, Gundam Fan, who won 1. And Stuart Torrance, who won a sticker. So if you are either Champchi, Retro Rabbit, Vasily, Bob, Balaclava Bob, Deaths 0079 or Stuart Torrance, this is on an honour system. I am trusting that when you mail me and say, this is me, I'm going to trust that that's the right person. It'd be easily abused, but there's no other way for me to do it other than say, hey, you need to mail me. All you need to do is, if you're one of those people, mail me. The address is always on screen. It's here, fox@modelmakingguru.com. Send me a mail. In the mail, put in the title that you've won a sticker. And in the mail, I just need to tell your name, your address, and your YouTube handle, so I can link up. If your name's Bob Smith, but YouTube handle is XXO Sniper 47XXO, then I'm not going to know unless you tell me that you're XXO Sniper 47XXO, that you are XXO Sniper 40. I hate people with names like that. So you need to include your name, your address, and your YouTube handle, so I know which stickers. If you say it's Bob and this is my address, I'm like, brilliant, what am I sending you? I need to know which ones I'm sending you. So if you're one of these people, I don't know when these go back, so these could be like from months ago. Drop me a mail. You don't have to. If you don't want them, it's fine. It's not in the world. It's just they're sitting there doing nothing. So anyway, let's give some more away. So this week, finally, I've got all the stickers out. Chris says, yes, I am then. No. Beyond Hope says, oh wow, just raided our biscuit box and found a complete packet of chocolate chip hobnobs. They're just chocolate hobnobs. I did not know such a thing existed. Yeah, chocolate hobnobs, they're the best biscuits in the world. You dunk them in your tea or your coffee and they stay there for ages. Chocolate hobnobs are the best biscuits. The best biscuits. So this week we have 3 to give away. We have one of mine, one of Dad's Scaly Models, and one of Colin's Festa 67's Workshop. So, Earl D says, my YouTube name is boring, we'll change it to Molotov Chainsaw Spleen Ripper. Oh yeah. Chris says, I'm missing Dave's and a Goblin Gaming sticker. No, you're not. I'm pretty sure you're not. Oh, I don't have Colin's either. It's not like, if only you actually knew, say, Dave and Colin to get a sticker off them. I haven't got any Goblin Gaming stickers. I've given them all away now. Ain't got no Goblin. Or what you could do, Chris, is place an order with Goblin Gaming using my link to get your discount and everything else. And make me some money. And then ask them for a sticker. That'd work for me. Right, so we're going to do this. I need to get the magic pen of writing. Ooh, wow. There was a sudden breeze outside because the window's open in the hallway. There was a sudden breeze and it made exactly the noise of the wind in Fallout 3, that kind of noise. I've never heard that before. Wow. Now this is Mark II pen. The original ran out, so this is a new one. Before we do anything though, at this point in the show, you know what happens. There's always a lag between the audio and the video and the chat. So before we do anything, I need you to hit refresh on your browser and then drag the slider to get the video as up to date and in sync as possible. So refresh and drag. Refresh button and drag. Refresh and drag. I'll give you a minute to do that. But if you've not seen this before, all that happens is you all know what you're doing. I will ask a question. The first person to get the answer right in chat will win the sticker. Remember, just because your name is first on your computer screen doesn't mean you are the actual first person to be appearing in the chat. You see your chat tailored to you, so you'll always be first on your screen. However, I see the chat like this, yellow everywhere. I see the chat like that. What that is there, that's the YouTube chat. I see the YouTube chat. So just because you're first on your screen doesn't mean you're actually first in the final chat. So don't be offended if you think you're first, but you're not. I'm going to ask you a question. The first person to get the answer right in chat wins. I'm going to write some words. I'm going to write flurp, although it came out florp, but never mind. I'll write bripple on that one. Florp, bripple, and nibs. There you go. Florp, bripple, and nibs. I'm just making up nonsense now. Although nibs is actually a real word. So, I shall put this back that way. So I need to now think of some questions. Quado Man says refresh and no longer fully naked. I'm not even talking about that. Fluffy Gut says gotta love Fallout 3. Absolutely. Yeah, human. I love them super mutants. Best, I've said this before, but the best conversation I ever heard. If you creep, I had the Chinese stealth armor in Fallout 3, and I was creeping around a building. It might have been the Germantown Police Department building. I was creeping around because they couldn't see me, and I could hear two super mutants talking. And one of them says, "I am super mutant. I am powerful and strong and smart." And the other one goes, "Me no, me stupid, not blind." I love that. I love the humour. Anyway, right. Let's do some questions. So I've got to think of some questions now. Swig of coffee. Oh. Let's have a think. Let's have a think. Thinking. Okay. Here's a recall question. Earlier on, I showed you the design for the Angry Marine. Remember, he had a rude word. He had a rude phrase written on his pauldron on this side. He had a very rude, telling people to go away quite forcefully on that side. And on this side, he has an angry, shouty, smiley face that isn't smiley. But here's the question. First question. On each kneecap, there was a letter. On this, what were the letters? There was one letter on each kneecap. What letter was on each kneecap? Go. There were 2 kneecaps, 1 letter on each one. What were the 2 letters? And Just Django is straight in, and he's actually everybody. Oh, I should have thought about this. Everybody's getting their comment banned now because it's it's thinking it's swearing. Let me just sit and remove the filters for about a minute. Everybody's now getting spam banned. Oops, sorry. Oh dear. Yes. Everybody's getting absolutely... Every time they put the comment, it's a comment withheld. If the mods could keep an eye on that and unwithhold them, please. Yes, everybody answered got it right. The answer is, of course, F. U. F on the right knee and U on the left knee. Yes, lovely. F. U. Because they're Angry Marines. Dad says, God, that was hard work. He's pressing all the... Yeah, that was funny, that. I won't do ones where you have to do a potential swear word next time because that just breaks everything. Right, so well done to Just Django, who was the first one. So what sticker would you like? Would you like mine, which is Florp? Would you like Dad's, which is Bripple? Or would you like Nibs? Upside Down Nibs, which is Collins at Festa 67 Workshop. Which one would you like, Just Django? I would like the scaly models. There you go, Dad. Lovely. Just Django. I won't sing that. So there you go, Bripple. You're getting a Bripple eventually, probably about December time when I get around to posting them. That's that one. Well done. So we've got 2 left. That was fun, that. I didn't think about that. Right, next question. Let's think of something. A big swig of coffee. It's my brain food. Oh. Big swig of coffee. Let's have a think. I forgot to get Guthorm out again, didn't I? Let's put him there where you can see him. I always forget to get Guthorm out because I moved everything around now and I forget things. There you go. You can't see him now, can you? There you go. Got to think of something now. Thinking of something. Okay. Where's I need to find something. Okay, it's just off camera. If you remember earlier on, I put a glaze on this dude. What was the name of the glaze? Go. So the last thing I did on that figure, I gave him a glaze of a colour that it's no longer made. They stopped making it now because they've got the contrast versions instead, which sucks. I shall go. I shall go with the first actually correct one, which is Lamenter's Yellow. Eon's car was the first one to get actually right. Lamenter Yellow. That'll do. Lamenter's Yellow. Close enough. Not Lamented Yellow, I'm afraid, thy creator. But good try. So Eon's car, you were the first to get that close enough. Lamentor yellow, you put, but that's near enough. Would you like Florp, one of mine, or would you like Nibs, one of Colin's? Which one would you like? You can tell I'm short on questions when I just ask what have I been doing for the last 2 hours. Need to buy a fox a big book of questions for Christmas. Yeah. Florp, you would like Florp. That's mine. There you go then. So Eon's car. Now remember, if you win the sticker, all you need to do that. No, that. Wow, that doesn't say anything like your name, does it? I missed out the N and I put a V in there. I don't know. Eon's. I'll write it on the top as well. Eon's car. There we go. Right. So yes, if you do win a sticker today, send me an email, fox@modelmakingguru.com, with your name, your address, and your YouTube handle, so I know whose is whose, and put it in the title as well. If it helps, if it does help me, if you actually put down the word. So if you put in the title, I won a sticker, Florp, or whatever, it doesn't matter if you don't, but just say you won a sticker, so I know in my inbox. I basically put all the emails to one side that have a sticker going out to them. If you've won a sticker in the past, you'll need to mail me anyway, because just so you know, as soon as I send your sticker out, I delete your email with your name and address, and I do not keep your name and address details. I delete them completely, so there you go. So got one left, which is Nibs, one of Colin's stickers, Feta 67 Workshop. Like and subscribe. And for this one, you know what's going to happen. Pen, back of hand, you know what's going to happen. Prepare your number typing fingers. Okay, I have written a number on the back of my hand. It is between 343 and 353. Between 343 and 353. Go. Between 343 and 353. What is the number? Thy creator is straight in with 343. Well done, Thy Creator. Thy Creator clearly understands about Halo. Because he's obviously used some lateral thinking to think, well, it's Fox, Halo, he's going to put 343. Yeah. So there you go. Thy Creator. You've got one. Where's my pen? Thy Creator. Well done. I bet you used a bit of lateral thinking there. Although it was just looking, you just type the right number first off. Or maybe you were just going to do 343, 344, 345. Oh, you did. Okay, I take it back. You just typed every number. Okay, there we go. I take back the claim of lateral thinking and logic, and you just typed every number. Yeah, good effort. Right, so there you go, Thy Creator. Well done. You know what to do. Send me a mail with your name and address and that, and your YouTube handle. Please do remember to include your YouTube handle so I know whose email relates to which sticker. I shall put those to one side. Well done to all of you who won the stickers. Finally, I think this is my first Colin sticker, says Thy Creator. Well done. Right, so got 45 minutes to go. I've got more to paint. I think what I'm going to do, because I want the glaze to fully cure. It probably is already fully cured, but I've got some other bits and bobs to do. Tell you what I'm going to do, because it is really, really warm in here. I think we might actually call it a show, purely because I'm sweating like a madman, and also I need to let this fully cure off properly. I might have to. I've got to plan what I'm going to do next. I've got to put some planning into the next step. I don't just want to dive into it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to call it there. I think I might call that a show just because it's dead hot. So what I'm going to do, I shall say thank you very much. Don't forget, of course, I will be back on next Sunday with the same nonsense. We'll carry on with this dude. We'll start the... we've got the red trim to do. I've got the weapon to paint, which is red, metallics and golds. We've got the gold trim on the chesticles. We've got the black rubber stuff, technically, which is the undersuit and the tubes. We do have... Excuse me. We do have other metallic bits to do. We have the eyes to take care of, which are glowy red. And then, of course, we have to manually hand paint all the markings. So the big FU on the side there, the big rude words, the F and the U on the knees, which should be easy. And then we've got the challenger bit, which is the big sort of angry smiley on that collar, which is not that tricky, but it's going to be interesting. So there's quite a bit to do. So what I'm going to do, I am going to leave that there. We shall leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, as always, do go and check out the links below in the video. The link to Goblin Gaming. Go and pick up loads of Warhammer stuff or whatever you need to get. It's cheaper and it helps me out. And same with the Amazon store. Don't forget that if you need to pick up some modelling equipment, tools, brushes, paints, anything like that. That isn't kits, obviously. Go and check out my Amazon store. If there's anything that you want to get from Amazon that is not in, if you're in the UK and you need to pick something up from Amazon, it's not in my Amazon store. Give me a shout. I can add it within minutes, like that. Just need to send me a link to the product you want, and I will add that to my Amazon store, and you can get it there, and it will be helping me out massively. And don't forget, of course, last of all, if you'd like to help out, do pop along to my Patreon page, patreon.com/modelmakingguru. All support is delightfully accepted. It's what I do for my living. I depend on my patrons for my income, and I do love them very dearly, so do check it out. But I say apologies for the quick end. I'm just sweating cobs here. I need to give it an end. But I lasted more than 90 minutes, Chris. I saw what you wrote. Don't forget, of course, Chris's show, Gross Models channel, the Warhamster Sunday at 8 PM tonight. 8 PM to usually 9:30. He'll be carrying on with... he's doing his shouty space horse now. He's doing a shouty space horse dragon thing with a priestess on the back. He's doing old school Warhammer. So I guess he's going to be building, and he'll be encountering some of the old toolings from old Warhammer stuff. So that could be interesting, because Chris, you're in for a treat there. It's old stuff with old seam lines and old... You'll have fun with that. Yes, more of a challenge, but more interesting. But yes, we should call it there. So, I'm waffling now like an idiot because I'm really sweating. Thank you all for watching. Do take care of yourselves. Don't forget, there's no e-model show tomorrow night. Tomorrow in the UK is a bank holiday, which means everything is shut. Nothing is open. I will be on the Xbox all day long because it's a bank holiday. Screw it, I'm having a day off. For once, I shall have a day off. All the shops are shut. Nothing is open. So there's no e-model show tomorrow. We will be back, obviously, next Monday, not Monday, tomorrow. But I will be back on next Sunday. I will try and see if I can. I'll show you very quickly. Where I'm up to on the Cesar Baby. Just so you know, I'm in the process of painting. We have inner frame parts, which are getting towards the end of the base coating being done. I've got greys and various colours. I've got some shading on there. There's also we have many items, Mahoney, of again inner frame parts in various stages of base coating. These need some shading and some contrast paints on them, and then the inner frame is basically and some chipping and other bits and bobs. So I'm hoping I'm filming that as I go along. I am hoping that at some point this week, the next episode of the build, which is Patreon exclusive, will go up on Patreon. Hopefully sometime this week. It's taken a while because I've got to film it and then do the painting and then edit it. So hopefully this week there'll be another episode. If I can, I'll do a quick tease episode for non-patrons to look at. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Hopefully this week we'll see how it goes. But until next time, I shall say thank you very much for watching. Do take care of yourselves. Don't forget Chris's show tonight at 8 PM. Do take care of yourselves. Go make something awesome like this. Go be awesome. You there, be awesome. Do all the awesome things. And I shall say, adios, amoebas. See if I can get to do this week without messing it up, shall I? Adios, amoebas. Yeah, that was rubbish. The hard drive had to spool up and then it just jumped in. Do you know? I can't get the stuff. Bye.